Chapter 1746. 1746. The Suffocating Dragon King of 1746. Hiss! What are the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace doing? Are they not going to let the people of the Phoenix Dynasty and the 10,000 Fey Empire leave? Is this a war? This, if they were to fight, the Dragon Palace, the Dragon Phoenix Empire, and the Nine God Empire wouldn't gain any benefits, right? From the current situation, the strength of the Phoenix Dynasty and the 10,000 Fey Empire is obviously higher than the Dragon Phoenix Empire. Everyone was shocked when they saw the members of the Dragon Palace lock onto the two empires with a strong aura. In such a situation, it would definitely be a fierce battle if they were to fight. It was hard to say whether the Dragon Palace could win or not. Fighting was not a wise choice for either side. After that, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace did not let the other party leave. This, Dragon King, don't be too arrogant. Do you believe that if you dare to make a move, I have the confidence to behead you here? The Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird swept his gaze across all the members of the Dragon Palace. His cold dual-colored eyes stared at Wuxia, and his tone was filled with anger. Do you really think that we left because we were afraid of you? Emperor Phoenix also roared at Wuxia with a ferocious expression. Demon bird of the Nine Heavens, a mutated species of heaven and earth. Hee, I would like to experience it. Wuxia narrowed his eyes slightly. He swept his gaze across the demon bird of the Nine Heavens, and did not place Emperor Phoenix in his eyes at all. In the entire empire of 10,000 demons, and the Dragon Phoenix Empire, there was only one demon bird of the Nine Heavens with a longevity of level 6, while Emperor Phoenix was the only one with a longevity of level 5. As for level 4 of longevity, there were two of them. Wuxia did not place such strength in his eyes, even if the Nine Heavens demonic bird possessed combat strength comparable to that of the dragon race. If it was two dragons of the same level, he might be a little apprehensive. If it was just one of them, he could kill them. As Wuxia spoke, he waved his arm gently, and the 5 elements millstone, which had been upgraded to a semi-divine weapon, appeared directly in the sky. All the soldiers of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, get ready. If you dare to destroy us, you must be prepared to be destroyed. At the Dragon Phoenix Empire, Feng Wuan shouted coldly. Kill! Anyone who offends our Dragon Phoenix Empire must be killed. Kill! So what if we have two empires? Haha! Excited voices came out from the mouths of the soldiers of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. They raised the weapons in their hands and roared at the two empires with murderous intent. Disciples of the Nine God Empire, get ready, Kiki! When Emo Sha saw Wuxia getting ready for battle, his face revealed a sinister expression. The demonic aura on his body began to churn as he roared loudly. Dragon King, you are courting death. Pilipala. When the Nine Heavens demonic bird saw that they were about to make a move, a special sound rang out from his body. A terrifying killing intent shot out from his eyes. If the 10,000 Demons Empire is really afraid of you, all the disciples of the 10,000 Demons Empire will be slaughtered today. The Nine Heavens demonic bird emperor roared loudly, as he flapped his wings violently. The energy of wood and fire attributes made the shadows that gathered in the sky more corporeal. I, the Nine Heavens demonic bird, am a mutated species of the heaven and earth. Today, I will kill a reckless human like you. He stared at Wuxia and flapped his wings. He charged directly at Wuxia. Haha, kill him for me. I will not rest until one of you is dead. Feng Wuan I Feng Chaotian will destroy you again today. A ferocious look appeared on Emperor Feng's face as he stared at Feng Wuan with his blood-red eyes. Haha, that's more like it. Since we are here, we must determine the victor and determine the life and death. When Wuxia saw the demonic bird of the Nine Heavens attacking him, his body trembled, and a 7-colored dragon domain expanded in the surroundings. 7 divine dragon silhouettes were encircling the gigantic dragon domain. The dragon domain covered a terrifying area of 1,200 kilometers and covered half of the imperial capital. Demonic bird of the Nine Heavens, Emperor Phoenix, and the two of you come in. Wuxia was floating in the middle of the dragon field. 7 divine dragons surrounded him as he waved his arm. The divine dragons swayed their huge bodies and headed straight for Emperor Phoenix and the other 2 level 4 longevity experts of the 10,000 Demons Empire. Ha ha ha, you arrogant thing. You actually dare to divert your attention to deal with the rest when you are fighting me. When the demon bird of the 9 heavens saw that Wuxia wanted to tie down Emperor Phoenix and the rest, it laughed maniacally as a look of disdain appeared in its eyes. He flapped his pair of huge wings. One was wooden while the other was fiery red. Boom! 9 heavens demonic domain. A domain that covered an area of about 1,000 kilometers appeared. The huge domain was like a pair of wings. When this domain appeared, it immediately collided violently with the dragon domain. Shatter haha. The 9 heavens demonic bird king let out a maniacal laugh. Wood made fire and the domain instantly lit up. Terrifying flames filled an area of over 1,000 kilometers. Wang. Within the Dragon Phoenix imperial capital, an array rose up, covering all the people and those who came to watch the ceremony. As an expert who was once close to God, the array he set up was completely capable of withstanding the attacks of a level 6 Wancho expert. That Dragon King was a little careless. The 9 heavens demonic bird monarch is a heaven and earth species, an existence comparable to the dragon race. The Dragon King actually thought of stopping the other experts. Among those of the same level, it is already considered pretty good that he could deal with the Emperor of the 9 heavens demonic bird. In the formation of the imperial capital, everyone took a deep breath when they saw the complete outbreak of the war. They were discussing in shock. He wants to break through the 7-colored dragon territory. Wang Xian's face revealed a hint of coldness. The energy of the yin and yang 5 elements in the dragon territory began to circulate. The terrifying defense of the yin-yang tai chi and the destructive power of the 5 elements caused the flames in the 9 heavens demon territory to dissipate slowly. What? Sensing that its territory was completely suppressed, the 9 heavens demon bird trembled slightly. An incredulous expression appeared on its face. Roar! However, Wang Xian did not bother with the shocked 9 heavens demon bird at this moment. The 5 elements millstone spun and attacked Emperor Phoenix and the 2 level 4 longevity experts. The 3 of them, who had yet to make a move, saw the 5 elements millstone, which was filled with a destructive aura, attacking them. Their faces revealed an extremely embarrassed expression. How is this possible? When we were fighting against the Emperor of the 9 heavens demonic bird, he was still able to pin us down. Emperor Phoenix roared in horror. Pin us down? He is trying to kill all of you. When Wang Xian heard Emperor Phoenix's words, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. The 5 elements millstone and the 5 divine dragons began to roar. They pulled the 5 elements grindstone, which covered an area of more than 100 kilometers, and launched their attacks one after another. The entire grindstone was like the invincible spaceship of aliens in sci-fi movies. Chirp chirp chirp. I am the 9 heavens demonic bird. Among those of the same level, no one is my match. A rapid and fierce cry came out from the mouth of the 9 heavens demonic bird emperor. He raised his head, and the aura on his body rose rapidly. His entire body size rose rapidly, reaching several thousand meters in size. Chapter 1747. 1747, in the suffocating Dragon King of 1747. Chirp chirp chirp. His body was 2 to 3,000 meters long. The wood and fire on his body were superimposed together, emitting a strange flame. The wrath of the Demon King. Dragon King, welcome my wrath. The demon bird king of the 9 heavens stared at Wang Xian coldly. The feathers on his body were trembling. Numerous wooden feathers that looked like they had been ignited covered an area of dozens of kilometers. They attacked Wang Xian directly. How arrogant. Roar. Wang Xian stared at the terrifying flaming feathers in front of him. His entire body transformed into the body of a divine dragon. A dragon body of 2,000 meters appeared in the sky. Roar. He raised his dragon head and roared once again. A grayish destructive power of the 5 elements swept towards the green and red flaming feathers. Buzz. The destructive power of the five elements was like a long river of history. The green and red flaming feathers were completely wiped out. Furthermore, this destructive power was directed towards the nine heavens demonic bird. Damn it! When the nine heavens demonic bird emperor saw that his attack was blocked, he widened his eyes and roared furiously. He flapped his wings, and the wings formed from the two attributes collided with the destructive power to block Wuxia's attack. Dragon Kingdom in the palm. However, at this moment, an extremely terrifying dragon claw was heading towards him. The dragon claw was like a kingdom, tens of thousands of meters in size. The emperor of the nine heavens demonic bird, who was below the dragon claw, was like an ant. What? The expression of the nine heavens demonic bird changed slightly when he saw the gigantic dragon claw. He flapped his gigantic wings and flew towards the side. Thorns stabbed at the dragon's claws. Hiss! Watching the Dragon King and the nine heavens demonic bird emperor fight in the sky, everyone was shocked. This Dragon King is too terrifying. He completely suppressed the nine heavens demonic bird. Moreover, his terrifying weapon restrained the Phoenix Emperor and the 10,000 demon empires, 2 level 4 demon emperors. What a terrifying Dragon King. The nine heavens demonic bird is comparable to the dragon race in terms of strength. Its gigantic claws seemed to be able to tear the void apart. Shocked voices came from everyone's mouths. Everyone raised their heads and watched the battle between the nine heavens demonic bird and the Dragon King. Kill, kill, kill. Boss is mighty. With boss holding off 4 top-tier experts, the rest are all trash. At this moment, Emo Sha led the experts from the Nine God Empire and charged towards the direction of the 10,000 Monster Empire at a height of 50,000 meters. Upon seeing Wuxia's terrifying strength, Emo Sha's face was filled with excitement. Now all the experts from the 10,000 Monster Empire, who were of the same level as him and stronger than him, were blocked by Wuxia. As for the rest, he could slaughter them without restraint. Emo Sha waved his arm, and his entire arm turned into a dark dragon head. He charged towards the direction of the 10,000 Fey Empire with all his might. The black dragon's head rapidly enlarged, reaching a radius of dozens of kilometers. Roar, roar, dodge, dodge. All the demonic beasts and fierce beasts of the 10,000 Fey Empire saw this attack and shouted in panic. None of the demonic beasts and fierce beasts could withstand the full-force attack of a Wansho 4th rank expert. However, the range of Emo Sha's attack was too large. In a range of dozens of kilometers, 20 to 30,000 demonic beasts were instantly struck by the dark dragon's head. The violent and corrosive dark energy immediately caused them to perish. Kiki, I can lead the Nine God Empire to wipe out all the beasts of the 10,000 Fey Empire. When Emo Sha saw this scene, he revealed an excited expression as he roared loudly. Chirp, chirp. All disciples of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, destroy the Phoenix Dynasty. Kill. In the Dragon Phoenix Empire, Feng Wuan let out a phoenix cry as her entire body directly transformed into a phoenix that was burning with blazing flames. She raised her arrogant head, and her gaze was filled with ice cold as she stared at everyone from the Phoenix Dynasty. Ice cold killing intent enveloped everyone from the Phoenix Dynasty from her body. It's finally time for us to show our skills. Guan Shuqing and the other girls smiled, their eyes full of fighting spirit. The 9 girls jumped, and a terrifying aura that was not weaker than the first rank of the longevity realm burst out from their bodies. Little Blue! Lan Qinghua called out softly, and a huge black hole appeared in the sky. A creature that was 20,000 meters long came out from the hole like a giant beast of destruction. Disciples of the Dragon Palace kill. At the Dragon Palace, Prime Minister Gui roared and gave the order. Roar! 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 The 9 flood dragons roared. The demon monkeys and thunder shrimps, who were engaged in close combat, rode on the fire phoenix dragon seed and charged at the demon beasts of the 10,000 demon empire. Then, the Yeksha clan, the Starwood dragon seed, and the Fire Hammer clan of the Dragon Guard division followed. The Heavenly Eye Arrow division, and the dolphins were at the rear. The sound of arrows piercing through the air rang out, and a rhythm enveloped the sky. The entire sky trembled under the battle. The Dragon Palace didn't include Shaolan. They had a total of 23 Rank 1 Longevity Realm members, who could fight against Rank 2 Longevity Realm. The 7 members of the Phoenix and Dragon Empire, along with the 9 girls and Shaolan, had 17 Longevity Realm experts. The 9 God Empire, Mo Sha, and his 6 subordinates had 7 longevity level and above combat strength. That was a total of 47. On the other hand, the 26 people from the 10,000 Fey Empire, along with the 18 people from the Phoenix Dynasty, made a total of 44. Most importantly, the Dragon King single-handedly held back the Phoenix Emperor and the 2 top-notch experts from the 10,000 Fey Empire, both of whom were at the 4th level of longevity, and the 9 Heavens demonic bird. Below Wang Xian and the rest, Feng Wuan and Mo Sha were invincible in the battlefield. Oh no! Our Empress Feng is actually being held back by the Dragon King. The Empress has the strength of a rank 4 longevity expert. Without the presence of Empress Feng, we are no match for her at all. At the Phoenix Empire, the expressions of the 17 longevity Phoenix Empire's longevity experts changed drastically when they saw Feng Wuan attacking them. I once brought all of you to stand at the peak of the Transcendence continent. Today, I will personally knock all of you down to the mortal world. Feng Wuan's phoenix eyes were filled with flames of anger as she stared at the 17 longevity experts of the Phoenix dynasty. Emperor Feng, save us! Sacred Flame Ancestor's brows jumped when he saw the Empress flying over filled with killing intent. They understood the Empress's personality very well. They would definitely not let a traitor off. With their strength, there was no way they could fight against the Empress. Get lost! Fire Phoenix Domain! At this moment, Emperor Phoenix was extremely furious. He was a dignified level 5 longevity expert, the Emperor Phoenix of the Phoenix dynasty. But he was actually restrained by a weapon. The enormous 5 elements millstone attacked one after another, causing him to be flustered. Hearing the cries for help from below, Emperor Phoenix let out a furious roar. He activated his domain, and countless fire phoenixes flew towards the 5 elements millstone. Roar, roar! The fire divine dragon let out a roar as it opened its huge mouth and swallowed the fire phoenixes. No, how is this possible? When he saw that the fire phoenix domain was completely ineffective, he widened his blood-red eyes and roared in disbelief. He was actually completely suppressed by a weapon. Chapter 1748. 1748. The suffocating Dragon King descended. Roar! Crackle! So! Buzz! Kill! The battle of the longevity experts had already erupted. At the bottom of the continent, the members of the Dragon Palace, the experts of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, and the experts of the 9 God Empire, had also clashed with the armies of the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix Dynasty. In just a split second, a terrifying sea of blood was raised. Not good. That strange sound came from the direction of the Dragon Palace. I feel that my strength has been suppressed. Oh no, the soldiers below the Void Interpretation Realm can't even use 10% of their strength in this battle. Quick, stop that dolphin creature and stop that woman. The blood that collided with the sea of blood instantly came from the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix Dynasty. The terrifying sound waves were the most terrifying part of the battle. The Dolphin clan had a total of 1,000 warriors. The lowest level among them had reached the 3rd level of the Void Interpretation Realm, and there were quite a number of them at the 9th level and 8th level of the Void Interpretation Realm. When they gathered together to emit a special auxiliary sound wave, a terrifying scene appeared. 600,000 to 700,000 soldiers from the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix Dynasty had come this time. Apart from 80,000 or so Insightful Emptiness Realm experts, the rest were all below the Insightful Emptiness Realm and in the Extraordinaire Realm. Under the sound waves of 1,000 dolphin warriors, the strength of the Extraordinaire experts had been completely suppressed to a terrifying level. In fact, they were only able to display 1/10 of their strength. In the entire battlefield, they were nothing more than cannon fodder. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Other than the terrifying sound waves, there were also sharp arrows. The 1,500 demon beasts with slender arms could shoot up to 40,000 to 50,000 arrows per second. To the horror of the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix Dynasty, a round of arrows directly killed over 10,000 of them. This was secondary. What scared them the most was that the arrows were poisonous, and the poison could instantly kill a longevity expert. Long-range attack, destroy them! Destroy them! Shadow Demon Emperor, lead your shadow demons in charge. Phoenix Empire's archers, attack the rear and kill them. The Phoenix Empire's soldiers and the 10,000 Fey Empire's demon kings roared crazily when they saw how terrifying the Dragon Palace's long-range attacks were. Hee, they want to attack us. Ba Qi's face revealed a trace of coldness when he saw the overwhelming terrifying energy and the attacks of the 3 longevity experts. I'll lock down the Shadow Monster Emperor. Leave the archers of the Phoenix Dynasty to me. Muzisin and Ba Qi stood there arrogantly and said, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Dragon Snake Encirclement. Arrows shot towards the Shadow Demon Emperor, while Ba Qi's domain enveloped the Sky Eye Arrow Division, the Dolphin Clan, and the Poison-Making Warriors. In Ba Qi's domain, dragons and snakes surged, while dragons and snakes encircled. The tens of thousands of energy attacks landed on the domain, but they were blocked outside. Hiss! It's too brutal. This is too brutal. Almost 100,000 people died in the collision in less than a minute. The members of the Dragon Palace are so terrifying. The Phoenix Dynasty and the 10,000 Monster Empire suffered great losses in the collision just now. The archers of the Dragon Palace are too powerful. The weird sound waves seem to have caused a great disturbance to the soldiers of the 10,000 Monster Empire and the Phoenix Dynasty. The war has only just begun. The 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix Empire have already made their response. They will be able to restrain the long-range attackers from the Dragon Palace. It's hard to say who will be the victor, but the Dragon King's strength is simply suffocating. He single-handedly restrained all the top-tier experts on the other side. Inside the array formation of the imperial capital, everyone's faces were filled with shock when they saw the devastating scene. This was a true war. Even if the sky and earth changed color, it would be very difficult for an insightful Emptiness Realm expert to keep his life here. The various powers that were watching the ceremony spoke in shock. As for the citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, there was even less to be said. A battle that affected over 1,000 kilometers? This was something that none of them dared to even think about before. However, when they saw that they had the upper hand, their nervous hearts let out a slight sigh of relief. Strange Demon Clan, kill those annoying long-range attackers. Powerful attacks came one after another, and Ba Qi revealed an unhappy expression. The long-range attacks of the Sky Eye Arrow Division were very terrifying. One round of attacks could cause a terrifying destructive force. Once they were restricted, it would make the following battles very troublesome. The Phoenix Dynasty also had a powerful archer troop, and they also had powerful strength. They had killed many members of the Dragon Palace in the attack just now. The 10,000 Fey Empire had poison stinger demon beasts, and they could shoot out deadly toxins. They were also a terrifying race of the 10,000 Fey Empire. Not good, there are killers, there are killers. Roar! There are killers entering the poison stinger demon beasts. Not long after Ba Qi's words were spoken, the Phoenix Dynasty and the 10,000 Fey Empire heard terrified voices. Following that, continuous screams sounded out. In the entire Dragon Palace, the Dragon Spike Division was the most powerful. There were 1,500 soldiers, and among them, there were 500 strange demons who had the combat strength of a level 6 void interpretation. Back in Fengtian City, 500 strange demons could assassinate millions of people in one night. On this battlefield, they were still like fish in water. 1,500 strange demons were harvesting the long-range attackers of the two empires at a terrifying speed. The archers of the Phoenix dynasty, in particular, had weak defenses. Under the sickle of the strange demon's death, all of them widened their eyes. Aspect, space of light. Just as some of the archers and stinger demon beasts reacted, a cold voice resounded in everyone's mind. Following that, more than 20,000 archers from the Phoenix dynasty, and more than 30,000 stinger demon beasts, from the 10,000 Fey Empire, were completely enveloped by the strange demon's Dharma idol. In an instant, the sounds of screams were incessant. Wang. The screams did not last for 20 seconds before the entire bright space completely dissipated. When the space was restored, only the corpses remained. Some of the strange demon's corpses were mixed in. Hiss. However, when the Phoenix dynasty and the rest of the soldiers of the 10,000 Fey Empire saw this scene, they took a deep breath, their faces filled with fear. There were at most 100 to 200 enemies' corpses, but their archers and the stinger demon beasts had all been assassinated. When they thought of the terrifying killers hiding around them, who could launch fatal attacks at them at any time, their faces were filled with fear. Poo-poo no. At this moment, a miserable scream was heard from more than 100,000 meters in the sky. Following that, a body that was several hundred meters in size fell to the ground. It's the Unicorn Demon Emperor. Oh my god. The Unicorn Demon Emperor, who has reached the 4th level of longevity, has actually fallen. It's the Dragon King who killed him. The Dragon King is so terrifying. Chapter 1749. 1749 hundredly of dragon body covered the sky and covered the sun. Hiss. This what a powerful Dragon King. Just with that big mill, he was able to kill the single rhinoceros demon emperor of the Wansho 4th rank. A Wansho expert has fallen, and it's a top-tier Wansho 4th rank expert. When the single rhinoceros demon emperor's corpse fell from a height of 100,000 meters, everyone had shocked expressions on their faces. All the experts and soldiers of the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix dynasty were shocked when they saw the corpse. They raised their heads and looked into the sky. Over 100,000 meters in the sky, the Dragon King, who was so powerful that it was suffocating, was fighting with the 9 heavens demon bird emperor lord. The 5 elements millstone, which was dozens of kilometers in size, was sealing off the Phoenix emperor and the other longevity 4th rank demon emperor, the myriad flower bone demon. Under such circumstances, the Dragon King was still completely suppressing the 9 heavens demon bird. The world-destroying energy was like the end of the world. Even if they were fighting at a height of 100,000 meters, the terrifying power still made the experts dare not fly into the sky. Diwen, you are the Emperor's teacher of the Phoenix dynasty. I single-handedly raised your strength to rank 3 longevity. You are above the tens of thousands of people in the imperial court. Today, I will betray you and die. Sacred Flame, you are the founding general of the Phoenix dynasty. You almost died many times during the battles. Later, you were saved by the personal guards of Hui Yin. You are an ungrateful person. I will betray you and die. Just as one of the demon emperors of the 10,000 Fey Empire fell, a clear and cold voice resounded in the sky. Sentence after sentence came out of Feng Yuan's mouth. She transformed into a fire phoenix, and Feng Yun, Lan Qingyue, Guan Shuqing and the other girls, as well as Feng Lingtian and the other 4 longevity experts, followed behind her. Her body was filled with endless anger and dignity. After losing her body for more than 1,800 years, she could finally take revenge today. You traitors, accept my punishment. Chirp chirp. With the cry of a fire phoenix, Feng Yuan flapped her wings and charged forward with terrifying flames of judgment. HMPH, go to hell. The group of girls followed behind and charged forward. An ancient zither floated in front of Tang Yinxian, and a powerful melody charged towards the longevity experts of the Phoenix dynasty. What should we do? The longevity experts of the Phoenix dynasty saw Feng Yuan charging over, and their eyes were filled with panic. With the Empress's strength, they were completely no match for her. Phoenix Nirvana Fire Domain open. Without waiting for them to react, a powerful domain directly enveloped them. "D1, I'll kill you first." The phoenix wings flapped, and numerous fire phoenixes directly condensed and attacked the Emperor Master from all directions. "No, Empress, I was wrong. I D1 admit my guilt." Seeing the Empress taking the lead to attack him, fear appeared on the Emperor Master's face. Feeling the powerful power, his expression changed drastically. He wanted to teleport away, but the terrifying power sealed the surrounding space. A level 3 Wansho against a level 4 Wansho was on a completely different level. "Don't even think about escaping, Little Blue." The expressions of the other 10 or so experts of the Phoenix Dynasty changed drastically. A few of them even wanted to retreat, but at this moment Little Blue, who was like a space beast, blocked their path of retreat. "Ah, Empress, don't kill me, don't kill me." The terrified screams suddenly attracted the attention of all the experts of the Phoenix Dynasty. When they looked over, the fire phoenixes kept hitting the Emperor's Master's corpse. His domain had already collapsed. What awaited him next was death. It was the Empress's anger and the Empress's judgment. Empress Feng, save me." The 10 or so longevity experts of the Phoenix Dynasty shouted in fear. Ever since the Great Empress died, the Phoenix Dynasty's strength had decreased instead of increasing. Their strength had not increased at all during the past 2 years. In the entire Phoenix Dynasty, there was only one Emperor's Master at the 3rd rank of longevity. The rest were at the 2nd and 1st rank of longevity. Once the Emperor's Master died, they were no match for him. It was only a matter of time before he died. This caused the more than 10 longevity experts of the Phoenix Dynasty to be filled with fear, as they cried out to Emperor Feng in the sky for help. "Emperor Lord, save us. We are not a match for the 9-god Emperor Lord." The cries of the longevity experts of the Phoenix Empire sounded out. Suddenly, the cries of the demon emperors came from the 10,000 Fey Empire as well. "Hee, I'll save you all. You bunch of beasts, die. That long-haired beast in the sky will also be killed by our boss. Hee." Emosha roared with excitement. He wreaked havoc in the center of hundreds of thousands of demon beasts in the 10,000 Demon Empire, killing thousands of demon beasts with each strike. Moreover, 4 Wansho experts had already died at Emosha's hands. "Roar, roar, roar, eat my rod. Thunder hammer quake. Heaven-forging hammer, strike the sky." Ao Qitian, who was holding the ocean-pacifying divine needle, was in the surroundings. Ao Qi, who was covered in lightning, and Duan Jinming, who was holding the flaming hammer. Their terrifying strength was fighting with the demon emperor of the 10,000 Fey Empire, who was at the 2nd level of longevity. Below them, the violent demon monkeys, thunder prawns and fire hammers were riding on the fire phoenix dragon seed, and fighting with the demon beasts and fierce beasts of the 10,000 Fey Empire. With their powerful strength, and the help of the dolphins, they were extremely brave. One by one, the demon beasts and fierce beasts fell to the ground. At this time, the strange demon had killed the main force of the long-range attacks of the 2 empires, and the life-reaping arrows once again entered the battlefield. The arrows with poison were reaping lives at a terrifying speed. The corpses below had already covered the ground. "Dragon King, today, I will fight you to the death. Phoenix Nirvana fire burn." Over 100,000 meters in the sky, Emperor Phoenix's gaze swept across the area below. He saw that half of the experts and soldiers of the Phoenix Dynasty had been lost, and his eyes were blood-red. His body was burning with blood-red flames. Burning the Nirvana fire in his body, he exploded with even more powerful strength. His body began to transform, slowly turning into a fire phoenix with a ferocious human face. His body was 100 meters wide, and his wings were 200 meters wide. He flapped his wings of fire, and directly crashed into the great mill of 5 elements. Boom! A powerful collision force caused the great mill of 5 elements to fly backward. "Kill him! Chirp chirp, wood fire burns, and life goes on endlessly. The karmic fire cannot be stopped. Burn bonefire forest." The master of the demonic bird of the 9 heavens looked at Emperor Phoenix, who was charging towards him. He looked at his wings that were covered in blood, and his eyes revealed a brutal and ruthless look. He raised his head and roared loudly. A huge forest that was emitting flames appeared in the sky. The forest blocked the sky for a few hundred kilometers. Endless fire trees were hurled towards Wuxia. Are they all erupting? Good. Roar. 10,000-mile-long dragon body. Dragon head under the heavens. Divine dragon swishing its tail. Yin-yang 5 elements Om's bowl. 7-colored dragon territories blessing. When Wuxia saw the demon bird emperor of the 9 heavens erupting completely, and the phoenix emperor, who was burning with the phoenix nirvana fire, he let out a loud roar. His eyes were filled with a strong fighting spirit. All the Dharma images were cast directly. The power of the 7-colored dragon territory was all blessed on his body. 100-mile dragon body, covering the sky and the sun, appeared in the sky. Chapter 1750. 1750. The 1,750-mile-long body of a dragon blotted out the sky and the sun. Roar. A dragon's roar. A dragon's roar of a divine dragon. When Wuxia unleashed all his strength, when all his Dharma forms and powers were unleashed, Wuxia's entire body had reached a terrifying 100 miles. It was an entire 100 miles in size. When his 100-mile-long body was suspended in the sky, the 9 heavens demonic bird and emperor phoenix were instantly stunned. What was the concept of a 100-mile-long dragon body? A 50,000-meter-long body was comparable to half the size of some cities. In front of him, a person was like a tiny ant. Even the 9 heavens demonic bird and emperor phoenix, which were thousands of meters and hundreds of meters long, were like ants in front of a 100-mile-long dragon body. Wuxia's ice-cold dragon eyes stared at the 9 heavens demonic bird emperor and emperor phoenix. His face was filled with indifference. Buzz! He raised his dragon claw and attacked the 9 heavens demonic bird directly. Hiss! The 9 heavens demonic bird emperor inhaled a breath of cold air. He flapped his wings and flew directly to the side. Boom! 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 At this moment, Wuxia's dragon tail swept toward the ancient fire forest that was condensed by the 9 heavens demonic bird emperor. The ancient fire forest that was hundreds of kilometers long was like a larger flame in front of Wuxia. As the dragon tail swept past, a quarter of it disappeared immediately. Roar! Wuxia opened his gigantic dragon mouth. A long river filled with destructive energy swept toward the 9 heavens demonic bird. This roar spread across more than half of the vast area. The dragon's roar resounded through the sky and the earth. What kind of creature are you? How can you have such a huge body? How is this possible? The 9 heavens demonic bird monarch looked at this terrifying creature that blotted out the sky and the sun. A hint of fear appeared in his eyes. Although being huge did not mean that he was powerful, his body was at least 100 miles long. It was already difficult for him to be injured by ordinary attacks. As a heaven and earth mutated demonic beast from the extraordinary mainland, this was the first time the king of the 9 heavens demonic bird had encountered such a terrifying opponent of the same level. One had to know that he was not afraid of even dragons of the same level. Now that he was facing Wuxia, he was actually being suppressed in all directions. Myriadwood shuttle. Looking at the long river of annihilation, the king of the 9 heavens demonic bird flapped his huge wings. The green wings flew out of the dense thorns and headed towards the long river of annihilation. Not good. However, when the long river of annihilation landed on the thorns, countless thorns withered immediately. The long river of annihilation continued to sweep towards him. The 9 heavens demonic bird emperor lord didn't doubt that if he was hit, he would definitely be heavily injured. He flapped his wings and hurriedly fled to the side. Pung! At this moment, a terrifying dragon claw attacked him. The enormous claw was even larger than his body. When the 9 heavens demonic bird emperor, lord saw the dragon claw that suddenly attacked him, his expression changed. Pung! However, the huge force landed on his body, causing his body to fall down at a terrifying speed. Ah! A painful sound came from his mouth. He spat out blood and his body collapsed. His face was filled with shock. At the side, Emperor Feng was stunned when he saw the terrifying attack and his huge body. He was burning the Phoenix Nirvana fire, but he was only able to unleash the strength of the peak of level 5 longevity. He was far weaker than the Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird. Now even the Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird was sent flying backward. How was he supposed to fight back? A hint of fear appeared in Emperor Phoenix's eyes. Boom, boom. However, at this moment he felt the sky turn dark. That gigantic dragon claw was heading towards him. Oh no, the Phoenix Nirvana fire has exploded. He roared loudly. With a flap of his phoenix wings, countless flames covered Wuxia. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions that sounded like nuclear bombs rang out continuously. The entire sky was instantly covered by incomparably terrifying flames. Boom. However, at this moment, a scene that terrified Emperor Feng appeared. In the sky that was completely covered by flames, an incomparably gigantic dragon claw extended out. The dragon claw flickered with 7-colored divine light. The yin-yang 5 elements Om's bowl completely blocked the attack of the flames. Pung! The dragon claw landed on Emperor Phoenix's body. He was like a fly as he fell downwards. Oh my god, a body at least 100 miles long. Is this the Dragon King? How can he be so terrifying? Hiss! 100 miles long dragon body blotted out the sky. The Nine Heavens demonic bird and Emperor Phoenix have been hit and are falling downwards. Emperor Nine Heavens demonic bird has been severely injured. Emperor Phoenix will probably lose half of his life under this attack. At this moment, in the array formation of the imperial capital, everyone looked at the enormous body in the sky in shock. It was the first time they had seen such a huge creature. How is this possible? On the battlefield, the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix dynasty looked at Emperor Nine Heavens demonic bird and Emperor Phoenix, who were falling to the ground. Their faces were filled with fear and despair. When the longevity experts were screaming for help, the soldiers of the two empires were on the verge of collapse. Now, looking at the rapidly falling Emperor Lord and the terrifying creature with the dragon's head sticking out from the flames in the sky, everyone's hearts were filled with trepidation and reverence. Was this a god? Boom! Boom! The Nine Heavens demonic bird Emperor Lord's body landed heavily on the ground, leaving a deep pit that was hundreds of meters deep. Soon after, Emperor Phoenix's body also landed on the ground. If it was not enough, he would be in a worse situation. After landing on the ground, one of his wings was actually broken into 2 pieces. One could imagine how terrifying this power was. The 2 Emperor Lords were directly hit to the ground, and everyone in the world was stunned. In the sky that was 100,000 meters high, the 10,000 flower-boned demon emperor floated in the sky with a dazed expression. He looked at the Dragon King who was slowly stretching out his gigantic body and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Buzz! At this moment, the 5 elements millstone revolved and attacked the demon emperor of the myriad flower bone with all its might. No! The demon emperor of the myriad flower bone was overwhelmed with shock. He hurriedly turned around and fled into the distance. However, under the control of Wuxia, the 5 elements millstone and the gigantic semi-divine weapon revolved and collided directly into his body. The destructive force wiped out his body and life force, causing his 2,000-meter-long body to tremble violently. In less than 2 seconds, all his life force disappeared, and he fell downwards. Bang! Another loud sound was heard, as though it had crashed into the hearts of everyone from the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix Empire. Apart from the sounds of battle, the entire battlefield was silent. Roar! The Empire of 10,000 Demons and the Phoenix Empire. From today onwards, all of you will be retiring from the stage of the Transcendence Continent. Wuxia's gigantic body slowly extended downwards. Looking at this gigantic dragon body, the battle stopped. Everyone from the Phoenix Empire and the Empire of 10,000 Demons gathered together in fear. They stared at Wuxia in the sky vigilantly. Cough, 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 cough. 2 coughs came from the deep pit on the ground. The Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird swayed his body and stood up miserably. He stared at the gigantic dragon head in the sky. How can you be so strong? Chapter 1751. 1751 Emperor Slayer was at the peak. How are you so strong? At the bottom of the battlefield, there was a deep pit that was a few hundred meters deep, and within a range of 3,000 to 4,000 meters. The Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird spread his huge wings, and his face was filled with blood. One of his wings was completely deformed and his body was slightly dented. Some of his feathers had already fallen to the ground. The king of demonic birds of the Nine Heavens, who was in an extremely sorry state, raised his head. His voice was filled with unwillingness and disbelief as he stared at Wuxia. At this moment, everyone raised their heads and looked at the terrifying dragon head. Just a single dragon head was already 4,000 to 5,000 meters in size. He looked down like a mythical beast, looking down at the entire land. You are too weak. Wuxia's cold dragon eyes stared at the Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird. His gaze swept across all the soldiers and demonic beasts of the Phoenix Empire and the 10,000 Demon Empire. Today, all of you shall be buried here. Boom, boom. Following that, Wuxia stretched out his dragon claws and clawed at the Nine Heavens demonic bird. His incomparably huge dragon claws seemed to be able to crush a planet. I am a mutated species of heaven and earth. How can I die at the hands of someone of the same level? In the extraordinary mainland, I, the Nine Heavens demonic bird, am not afraid even if it is a powerhouse of the dragon race. Upon seeing the dragon claw that was coming at him, the Nine Heavens demonic bird emperor let out a roar. It was incomparably huge. Around him, terrifying thorns covered the surroundings. In just a short instant, a radius of a few hundred miles was completely covered by thorns. All the soldiers and demonic beasts in the surroundings hurriedly hid into the distance. The branches from the Nine Heavens are burning the Phoenix Nirvana fire of the Nine Heavens. Burn the heavens for me. The Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird stared at Wuxia in the sky with blood-red eyes. The thorns within a radius of 100 kilometers were burning with flames as they soared into the sky. Every single vine was like a gigantic fire snake. Hiss! Upon seeing this scene and seeing this move, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces revealed a look of shock. As expected of the Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird, the Nine Heavens demonic bird that is going all out is simply too terrifying. After all, he's the Emperor Lord of the 10,000 Fey Empire, a top-notch existence in our transcendent continent. Everyone in the surroundings watched this scene with faces full of shock. Even Feng Wan stared at the Nine Heavens demonic bird with incomparable solemnity. Even when she was at her peak, she wasn't as strong as the current Nine Heavens demonic bird Emperor Lord. Especially after he used some method to obtain the Fire Phoenix bloodline. Kill him, otherwise we are finished. Everyone from the Empire of 10,000 Demons and the Phoenix Empire stared at the final attack of the Emperor of the Nine Heavens. Their faces were filled with cold sweat. In just a short 10 minutes of battle, more than half of the soldiers from the Phoenix Empire and the Empire of 10,000 Demons had already perished. If the battle continued, they would all be left here. A dying struggle. Wuxia looked at the sky full of thorns attacking him with flames. He waved his dragon claw gently. Buzz. In the sky, the 5 elements grinding mill flew directly below him. Yin-yang Tai Chi. 5 elements grinding mill. He shouted softly. A yin-yang Tai Chi pattern appeared below the 5 elements grinding mill. The yin-yang Tai Chi was activated. Countless fire thorns landed on it, and more than half of their strength was absorbed by it. When it landed on the 5 elements grinding mill, it was easily blocked. Today, I announce that the Nine Heavens demonic bird has suffered a loss. Wuxia's cold dragon eyes stared at the Nine Heavens demonic bird emperor. His dragon claws contained the powerful yin-yang and 5 elements powers, as well as the physical strength of his body. He continued to probe downwards. Chirp, 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 chirp. I am not reconciled. The nine heavens demonic bird emperor's blood-red eyes stared at the dragon claws that were attacking him. Fresh blood flowed out from his eyes. He was filled with anger and unwillingness. Boom! However, 5 huge dragon claws clawed at the nine heavens demonic bird emperor lord, causing the earth to shake. This nine heavens demonic bird emperor lord, is he going to die? Heavens! Just a single dragon claw is already several thousand meters wide. It can't be. An emperor lord is really going to die here. A shocked voice sounded, and everyone's eyes widened as they stared at the center. The members of the forces who came to watch the ceremony never expected that such a shocking event would happen today. Buzz! Wang Xian's dragon eyes of yin yang and 5 elements stared at the center. A faint smile appeared on his face. His body moved and transformed into a human form. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure was fleeing into the distance at a rapid speed. Wang Xian looked over and saw that extremely pathetic figure. He laughed. In the beginning, this figure was extremely arrogant. Bang! Emperor Feng, when you guys came, you didn't expect such an ending, right? The gigantic 5 elements millstone descended from the sky and landed heavily in front of Emperor Feng, who was fleeing. Feng Chaotian, when you killed me, you didn't expect me to be resurrected, right? Feng Wuan quickly looked at the disheveled figure and slowly walked towards Wang Xian. She stared at Emperor Feng and asked coldly, Hee, I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. Emperor Feng turned his head around in a disheveled state. His crown was slanted and his dragon robe was torn. He clenched his fists and stared at Wang Xian with an unwilling expression. If it weren't for you, even if Feng Wuan was resurrected, I would be able to kill her again. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. He glared at Wang Xian with a ferocious and maniacal expression as he shouted out involuntarily. Go to the ground and accompany the 9 heavens demon bird. 2 overlord lords would be a good companion. Wang Xian spoke to Emperor Feng indifferently. With a wave of his arm, the 5 elements grindstone was pulled by the 5 divine dragons. A destructive force was directed towards Emperor Feng. I won't die. I'm the overlord of the Phoenix Empire, one of the peak of the continent. Emperor Phoenix roared ferociously as he fled frantically into the distance. However, with his strength, it was impossible for him to escape from Wang Xian's attack. Bang! The gigantic 5 elements millstone crashed onto Emperor Phoenix's body, causing him to fall to the ground once again. This time, his life force had completely disappeared. The smoke that rose from the 9 heavens demonic bird emperor lord had already disappeared, and there were corpses lying quietly inside. The emperor of the 10,000 Fey Empire. The emperor of the Phoenix dynasty. 2 emperor lords were lying quietly on the ground, and they had fallen just like that. Gulp. Regardless of whether it was the forces that had come to watch the ceremony, or everyone from the Dragon Phoenix Empire, they all swallowed a mouthful of saliva. These 2 were the emperors of the previous 5 empires on the continent. One of the 5 most powerful people had actually fallen at the hands of a new faction, the Dragon King. Such a scene was shocking. The emperor of the Phoenix dynasty and the emperor of the 10,000 Demons Empire are dead. There's no need for the 2 empires to exist anymore. Just nice. The Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Dragon Palace will replace the 2 major factions. Hee. At this moment Wang Xian's chuckle rang out. He raised his arm slowly and said, Kill everyone from the 2 empires for this grand ceremony. This order caused despair to appear in the eyes of the hundreds of thousands of soldiers from the 10,000 Demons Empire and the Phoenix Empire. They looked at the figure in the middle with fear and shock. Beheading the overlord, ascending to the peak. Chapter 1752. 1752 Transcendence Continent. Kill. Haha, they still came here to destroy us. Now let's die here. Brothers, kill them and destroy the 2 empires. When Wang Xian gave the order, the disciples of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, the 9 God Empire, and the Dragon Palace took action instantly. They did not hesitate at all. Emperor Phoenix and the 9 Heavens demonic bird Emperor Lord had already fallen. Their most powerful experts had already died. At this moment, what else could they use to fight against the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Dragon Palace? It was a situation of certain death. It was a situation of certain death. Run, run, run. Run. We surrender, we admit defeat. Terrified voices came from the mouths of the members of the Phoenix Empire and the 10,000 Fey Empire. When they saw the experts who were charging over, their faces were filled with fear. Since the Overlord was dead, they only had 3 options: escape, die, and surrender. However, could they escape? The people from the 2 empires were in chaos. Some of them turned around and fled while others knelt in the air and shouted loudly for their surrender. Buzz! Wang Xian's gaze swept across the fleeing experts. There was no trace of mercy on his face. He waved his arm, and a river of destruction shot towards the fleeing powerhouses. With his strength of level 6 of longevity, no one could escape from his sight. Ah! Screams of agony rang out continuously. The once lofty longevity powerhouses who were at the peak of the void interpretation stage were now like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Kill! Feng Yuan and Emo Sha did not stop either. There were 600,000 to 700,000 experts from the 2 empires. Even though they had killed 300,000 to 400,000 of them in the battle just now, there was still a large number of them left. When Feng Yuan, Emo Sha, and the rest had also charged through the battlefield, and when Wang Xian killed the Wanshou experts one by one, the 2 empires could be said to have completely collapsed. Every second, more than 1,000 members of the 2 empires died. Blood flowed like a river, and the corpses piled up like a mountain. The bones of 100-meter-long Demon King and Demon Emperor were buried in this land. The 17 peak families of the Phoenix dynasty and the personal guards of Emperor Feng died one after another. The experts who had once served the Empress were all killed by Feng Yuan with her own hands. Those who had been ungrateful, those who had betrayed the Great Empress, and those who had betrayed the Great Empress were all killed by Feng Yuan. Screams could be heard everywhere. Hiss! I didn't expect that the founding ceremony of the Dragon Phoenix Empire would be the day of the destruction of the Phoenix dynasty and the 10,000 Fey Empire. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace is so powerful. He killed more than half of the longevity experts by himself. This is too heaven-defying. After today, the entire Transcendence continent will probably be shocked. There's no longer the Phoenix dynasty and the 10,000 Fey Empire in the world. There's only the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Dragon Palace. Next, the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Dragon Palace will probably occupy the territories of the 2 empires. With the 9 God Empire joining forces, even our Dragonman Empire will be afraid. Inside the array formation of the imperial capital, the factions that came to watch the ceremony sucked in a breath of cold air. In this battle, more than 40 longevity experts had fallen, around 80,000 insightful void experts had been killed, and 600,000 to 700,000 of the most elite disciples of the 2 empires had been annihilated. The destruction of the 2 empires. The battle was earth-shattering. They could imagine that after today, the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Dragon Palace would replace the 2 empires and stand at the top of the extraordinary continent. Haha, they're too powerful. Our Dragon Phoenix Empire and Lord Wang are too powerful. We've killed all the elites of the 2 empires. We'll rise up after today. Haha. Long live the Empress. Long live the Dragon King. The people of the Dragon Phoenix Empire were extremely excited. They looked at the soldiers and members of the Dragon Palace, who were slaughtering everyone with admiration. The slaughter lasted for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, none of the enemies survived. The ground was covered with corpses. The members of the Dragon Palace started to put the corpses into their interspatial rings, while Prime Minister Gui collected the fallen disciples of the Dragon Palace, with the soul returning wood, and resurrected them. Reporting to the Empress, 12,000 soldiers and 175 insightful Emptiness Realm experts of the Dragon Phoenix Empire have died in this battle. All the enemies were annihilated. The soldiers of the Dragon Phoenix Empire began to report the results of the battle. Bury these 12,000 disciples and soldiers as heroes of the empire. Our empire will compensate their families the most. Feng Wuan frowned slightly and said straightforwardly, in a war, even if one won, there would be death. However, compared to the death of 600,000 to 700,000 enemies, the loss of only 10,000 was already very, very small. Dragon King, 123 disciples of the Dragon Palace have died. Prime Minister Gui also came over to report. Wang Xian nodded slowly. With the ancestral tree and the soul-returning wood, the disciples of the Dragon Palace could be revived. The loss of more than 100 people was completely acceptable. Compared to the enemies and gains that he had killed, it was completely negligible. Feng Wuan, we will head to the Phoenix Dynasty and the 10,000 Fei Empire immediately and take over the two empires. Wang Xian said to Feng Wuan, who was beside him. All right. Feng Wuan nodded her head, and her eyes were filled with excitement. The 10,000 Fei Empire and the Phoenix Empire could be said to be in the bag to destroy the elite powerhouses of the two empires this time. After subduing the two factions, the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Dragon Palace would be able to obtain a terrifying amount of resources. Furthermore, after nearly 2 years, she could finally rule the Central Continent as the Empress and the entire Transcendence Continent once again. Prime Minister Gui, get the civil officials of the Dragon Palace and the Fire Hammer clan of the Dragon Guardian tribe to send all the corpses to the Dragon Palace. The rest of the members, follow me to the Central Continent. Wang Xian immediately ordered. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui immediately replied. Firecloud guards, follow me to the Phoenix Empire. The rest of you, guard the Dragon Phoenix Empire. Feng Wuan also gave the order to everyone in the Dragon Phoenix Empire. It's the Empress. The soldiers of the Dragon Phoenix Empire immediately replied. Let's go. Let's go. Roar. 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 9 dragon roars and 9 flood dragons pulled the throne and roared. Wang Xian moved his body and sat on it. Sister Feng Wuan, let's get on Xiaolan. Lan Qingwei said to Feng Wuan. All right. Feng Wuan smiled and nodded. She wasn't as flashy as Wang Xian. 9 creatures with the combat strength of the 2nd level of longevity pulled on the throne. In the entire Transcendence Continent, there were only a few who had such strength. Let's go. Wang Xian sat on the throne. More than 10,000 experts from the Dragon Palace, more than 5,000 experts from the Dragon Phoenix Empire, and more than 10,000 experts from the 9 God Empire flew toward the Central Continent. The Transcendence Continent is about to change. Some of the factions that came to observe the ceremony whispered. Let's go back as well. We must report this matter to the Emperor and the rest. The powerhouses from the Ao Shan Empire and the Dragonman Empire looked at each other and immediately led their disciples back to the Central Continent. Chapter 1753. 1753 Transcendental Continent was shaking. The vast land was vast and vast, with green mountains rising and falling. The waves of the Transcendental Sea were several hundred meters wide, and the waves were magnificent. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, dragon roars resounded through the heaven and earth, and a powerful team stepped into the central area of the Transcendental Continent. 9,000-meter-long flood dragons pulled a throne, and magical warriors followed behind them. A 20,000-meter-long creature was accompanying them. A goddess-like beauty was standing on top of the giant beast, overlooking the land. We're back again. Feng Wuan looked at this familiar land and muttered. Feng Wuan, you guys go to the Phoenix Empire. I'll go to the 10,000 Fei Empire. Wang Xian looked at Feng Wuan and said directly to her. All right, let Mo Sha bring you to the 10,000 Fei Empire. I'll handle the Phoenix Empire. Feng Wuan nodded. Yes, Ao Jian Muzisan, bring your clansmen and follow Feng Wuan. Wang Xian nodded and instructed the dragon guards and the Heavenly Eye Arrow Division behind him. It's the Dragon King. Aojian and Muzisin nodded and came to Shaolan. Let's go. The Phoenix dynasty was located in the north of the central continent, while the Dragon Phoenix Empire was located in the south of the central continent. The two empires were very far apart. The flood dragon flew at a height of tens of thousands of meters and flew rapidly towards the direction of the 10,000 Demons Empire. Meanwhile, Shaolan led Feng Wuan and the rest to fly towards the Phoenix dynasty. Although Shaolan was carrying a group of people, their speed was much faster than Wang Xian's. What kind of giant beast is that? Oh my god, it's so huge. What? What is this? What a huge body. When Shaolan flew over some cities, she caught the attention of some people. When they saw the terrifying giant beast that was 20 kilometers in size, all of them were shocked. 5 hours later, the territory of the Phoenix dynasty appeared in their line of sight. A city appeared in front of them. Empress, the Phoenix dynasty is now completely under the control of the 17 great families. Every city has the remnants of the 17 great families. Feng Yin looked at the city below and said with a frown. After all, the Phoenix dynasty was the territory that the Empress had conquered. However, ever since the fall of the Empress 1,800 years ago, the entire Phoenix dynasty had been controlled by the 17 great families. Their disciples were planted in every city. They were arrogant and tyrannical, bullying men and women, and lived like kings. The people of the entire Phoenix dynasty were living in misery. Not a single disciple from the 17 families is left alive. Feng Wuan's eyes were filled with coldness as she said. Feng Yin slowly nodded. At this time, he would rather kill 100 people than let one go. This was the sin committed by the 17 families. Now was the time for them to pay for it. Let's go to the imperial capital, Feng Wuan said indifferently. Shaolan flew quickly. The land of the Phoenix dynasty was vast. It took them more than 10 hours to arrive at the imperial capital of the Phoenix dynasty. The imperial capital, with a population of 40 million, was extremely prosperous. What is that? What a huge creature. They are flying towards our imperial capital. What is that huge beast doing here? Oh my god! When Shaolan approached the imperial capital of the Phoenix dynasty, the experts in the imperial capital immediately discovered it. All the city guards and experts in the imperial capital immediately flew into the sky. Wang! A formation completely blocked the entire imperial capital. Who are you? Why did you barge into our Phoenix dynasty? One by one, the city guards and soldiers at the profound void tier flew into the sky and stared at Shaolan in the sky with palpitations on their faces. Within the city, all the citizens of the Phoenix dynasty also looked at the gigantic beast in the sky with shock on their faces. Their expressions changed slightly. It's been more than 1,800 years. Has the entire city guard changed? Feng Wuan's footsteps were light as she walked down from Shaolan's body. Feng Yin followed beside her. She strolled in the air above the center of the Phoenix dynasty's imperial capital. Her phoenix robe fluttered, even though there was no wind. This figure? This is... The city guards of the imperial capital were slightly stunned. They looked at the familiar figure with a stunned expression. It's the Empress, it's the Empress. That familiar voice, that familiar figure. Oh my god, it's the Empress. Didn't the Empress die? At this moment, a shocked and unbelievable voice sounded from within the city. An old man shouted excitedly. What? The Empress? How is this possible? Empress, our Empress isn't. It's the Empress, it's the Empress. Look at that face. I will never forget it for the rest of my life. Some people's faces were filled with shock, some widened their eyes, and some had ugly expressions. The entire imperial capital was instantly thrown into chaos. More than 2,000 years ago, I, Feng Wuan, established the Phoenix dynasty. 1,800 years ago, I was harmed by the crafty Feng Chaotian, and 17 founding ministers became the lackeys of the Phoenix dynasty. 1 day ago, I established the Dragon Phoenix Empire. Feng Chaotian led all the experts of the Feng dynasty to besiege them. Now they have all been killed. Today I Feng Yuan have returned. I sentence those who are close to the Feng dynasty to be exterminated. Those from the 17 great families exterminated. Feng Yuan stood in the sky and announced the verdict indifferently. Her voice spread throughout the city, and everyone's eyes widened in shock. The disciples of the 17 great families instantly broke out in cold sweat and became extremely pale. Remove the array formation. Feng Yuan looked at the array formation that enveloped the imperial city and said indifferently, "No, impossible, the Empress is already dead. You are not the Empress, you are not." A city guard expert shouted in disbelief. He was a disciple of the 17 great families, and when he heard Feng Yuan's words, his face was filled with disbelief. Wang! Feng Yuan waved her arm, and a staff, phoenix staff, appeared in her hand. She looked down and lightly waved it. A gigantic fire phoenix appeared in the sky and attacked the array formation below. Feng Yuan's attack directly passed through the array formation and landed on the city guard. The city guard widened his eyes, and before he could even react, he was turned into ashes. "The array formation in the imperial city was built by me," Feng Yuan said indifferently. How could the array formation she built stop her? "It's the Empress. It's 100% the Empress." "Haha, Empress, the Empress is finally back. Kill the people of the 17 great families." That's right. Over the past 1,000 years, the 17 great families have been arrogant and despotic. We dare not voice our anger. We welcome the Empress. We welcome the Empress's return. Within the city, seeing Feng Yuan's attack, all the people of the Feng dynasty were almost certain that their Empress had returned. Most of the people had incomparably excited expressions on their faces. They directly knelt on the ground and shouted loudly with faces full of excitement. No, how could this be? Our Emperor Feng, our ancestor, was actually killed by the Empress. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. It has nothing to do with us. Everything has nothing to do with us. However, those trusted aides of Emperor Feng, the disciples of the 17 great families, all had panicked expressions on their faces. Fire cloud guards, eliminate Feng Chaotian, and all the disciples of the 17 great families. Feng Yuan ordered in a cold voice. Chapter 1754. 1754-1750, for the extraordinary continent shook. On this day, blood flowed like a river in the imperial capital of the Feng dynasty. All the trusted aides of the 17 families and Feng Chaotian were killed. In an instant, 1/3 of the people in the entire imperial capital were killed. What the killing brought was not pain, but the cheers of the people in the imperial capital. Some of the fire cloud guards did not even make a move, but the angry citizens killed them. Everyone's faces were filled with excitement, especially those who had followed the establishment of the Phoenix dynasty for more than 3,000 years. They knew that the Phoenix dynasty was no longer the Phoenix dynasty of the past. At that time, the Phoenix dynasty was full of fairness, positivity, and peace. Ever since the Phoenix dynasty was controlled by the Phoenix Emperor, the 17 great clans were powerful, and they squeezed the ordinary citizens. There was no hope for them to stand out, and many of them even fled to other empires. However, most of them still endured the exploitation and humiliation of the empire and the 17 great families. Now that the Empress had returned, hope was ignited in their hearts. They knew that the Empress was the #1 wise ruler of all time. Gather a group of experts in the imperial capital and clean up the members of the 17 great families in the other cities of the Phoenix dynasty. In the evening, an order was given from the Phoenix Palace. In just a short hour, tens of thousands of experts, at least at the 8th or 9th rank of the extraordinary realm, had signed up. From then on, they rode on Little Blue and began to sweep through the entire Phoenix dynasty. Instantly, the Phoenix dynasty fell into a bloody storm. However, at the same time, cheers resounded throughout the entire Phoenix dynasty. The disciples of the 17 great families who had been acting arrogantly were dealt a devastating blow. As the saying goes, the one who gains the hearts of the people wins the world. The 17 great families did not gain the slightest bit of the hearts of the people. When they encountered a disaster, what they received was the cheers of the entire Phoenix dynasty. None of the members of the 17 great families were spared from the disaster. Just as the entire Phoenix dynasty was in the midst of an exciting massacre, in the southern part of Central Continent, the incomparably huge empire of 10,000 demons was also met with a bloody massacre. All the demonic beasts and ferocious beasts that resisted were executed. Wang Xian didn't exterminate all the surrendered demonic beasts. What surprised him was that in the empire of 10,000 demons, he met a demonic beast tribe with a decent bloodline. The Saturn Turtle tribe was a group of land turtle demonic beasts that possessed the bloodline of half-step longevity. All the demonic beasts of the Saturn Turtle tribe were very gentle. They were enslaved by a longevity beast tribe and used as mounts. The attack power of the Saturn Turtles was much weaker than those of the same level. However, their defense was extremely perverse. In fact, it was impossible for demon beasts of the same level to kill them. Their use of the earth attribute was extremely terrifying. Wang Xian discovered that their bloodline was extraordinary and immediately accepted them as members of the Dragon Palace. This made the Saturn Turtles extremely excited, while the rest of the demon beast races were filled with envy. To be valued and accepted as a member by a faction that could destroy their 10,000 Fey Empire was a great opportunity for the Saturn Turtle race. As for the rest of the Central Continent, the 5 empires and 2 empires had been destroyed, drifting through the storms. When the members of the faction that came to watch the ceremony returned and reported what had happened in the vast region, it immediately caused a huge commotion. The destruction of the 2 empires and the killing of the 2 emperor lords was like a huge earthquake to the entire transcendental continent. The 5 empires were deeply rooted in the transcendental continent. The most recent destruction of the empires had happened 50,000 to 60,000 years ago. However, now the 2 empires had been destroyed at the same time. Furthermore, they had been destroyed by a newly established Dragon Phoenix Empire and a power called the Dragon Palace. This caused the Aoshan Empire and the Draconid Empire to be incomparably shocked. The monarchs of the 2 empires immediately gathered all the experts to discuss. Now the mainland forces, the 9-God Empire, the Dragon Phoenix Empire, and the Dragon Palace were clearly completely allied. The other party's alliance would definitely cause them to feel some fear. Even the Draconid Empire, which was backed by the dragon race, would seriously discuss how to deal with the Dragon Palace and the Dragon Phoenix Empire, which had suddenly risen from the ashes. Of course, the Draconid Empire and the Aoshan Empire weren't too afraid. The Aoshan Empire stood in the center of the continent. The Aoshan Empire was known as the strongest empire of mankind, with the #1 human expert of the extraordinary continent, Ao Biming, presiding over it. As for the Draconid Empire, their strength could be said to be even stronger than the Aoshan Empire, because they had the backing of the dragon race. This was also the reason why the Draconid Empire was the strongest empire on the continent. After a series of discussions between the 2 empires, they each made a few decisions. However, while the 2 empires were not afraid, the other factions were different. Some factions with longevity experts had already made preparations. They prepared gifts and went to the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Dragon Palace to congratulate them. 10 days later, Wang Xian led the members of the Dragon Palace to sweep through the entire Myriad Demon Mountain Forest. As the 3rd-ranked empire in the Transcendence continent, their wealth far exceeded Wang Xian's imagination. In his opinion, the resources in the ruins of the Kingdom of God were already extremely terrifying. However, there was still a huge gap when compared to the Myriad Demon Empire. After all, this was one of the 5 largest empires in the continent. The resources were 4 to 5 times more than the ruins of the Kingdom of God. This time, my strength will be able to increase by at least 2 levels. Other than that, the members of the Dragon Palace will also be able to receive a crazy improvement. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne. A hint of excitement flashed across his face. There were 600,000 to 700,000 corpses of the army. There were about 80,000 insightful void martial artists. There were more than 40 of them in the realm of longevity. With so many corpses of experts, the strength of the Dragon Palace would receive a qualitative improvement. After this battle, the Dragon Palace would have at least 100 more members, with the combat strength of longevity realm. Let's head to the Phoenix Dynasty, Wang Xian said to Emo Sha and ordered him to lead the way. Yes, boss. Emo Sha nodded immediately. With Emo Sha leading the way, the group of members flew rapidly towards the Phoenix Dynasty. The Empire of 10,000 Demons was located in the forest of the Mountain of 10,000 Demons. It was not suitable for humans to live in, so Wang Xian did not intend to occupy it. My young friend Dragon King, sorry to disturb you. Just as Wang Xian and the rest were flying rapidly towards the Phoenix Empire, a voice suddenly rang out, causing the entire group to be slightly stunned. The sudden voice caused even Wang Xian to reveal a look of astonishment. A hint of doubt flashed across his eyes as he immediately stood up and looked to the left. Who's playing tricks? Emo Sha's expression changed slightly when he heard the voice. He immediately turned his head to look. An old man with white hair was holding a treasure that looked like a small mountain in his hand. He was floating quietly in the air and looking at them. Huh! When Wang Xian saw the old man, his pupils constricted slightly. He was extremely shocked. He stared at the old man and the small mountain in his hand vigilantly. Young friend, there's no need to be afraid. Can you sit down and have a chat? The old man said to Wang Xian indifferently. You are? Suddenly, Emo Sha widened his eyes and stared at the old man in shock. Sure. Wang Xian took a look at Emo Sha's reaction and was astonished. He nodded at the old man. Chapter 1755. 1755. The god of the great emperor of the Aoshan Dragon Clan. My two young friends, please take a seat. In the sky, below the team of the Dragon Palace and the Nine-God Empire. Beside a small mountain, a stone bench appeared in front of Wang Xian and Emo Sha. The old man smiled as he gestured at them. My old senior Yu Hao, how are you still alive? Emo Sha stared at the old man in front of him with his eyes wide open. He looked at him in disbelief, as he spoke with a trembling mouth. Wang Xian was extremely shocked when he saw his expression. Emo Sha had always been extremely arrogant. He did not put anyone in his eyes. Even when faced with the Emperor of the Nine Heavens demonic bird, who was much stronger than him, his expression remained unchanged. Why was he so fearful when facing an old man now? The old man was dressed in green clothes and had a kind expression on his face. He was like a huge mountain that had stood for tens of thousands of years. Although Wang Xian could feel a fatal threat from the old man, he was not as fearful as Emo Sha. Emo Sha, who is this senior? Wang Xian asked in puzzlement. Boss, this is the Emperor of Aoshan, the legendary Emperor of Aoshan. Emo Sha exclaimed in shock. Oh, the Emperor of Aoshan Empire? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and asked in surprise. No, the current emperor is Ao Baiming, who is known as the strongest human. This is the legendary great emperor of Aoshan, who fought against the dragon ancestor for 3 days and 3 nights. Oh my god, aren't you already dead? How could it be? Emo Sha widened his eyes and said in shock. What? Wang Xian was slightly shocked and looked at the old man in astonishment. He had read the name of Emperor Aoshan in a book before. A terrifying powerhouse from more than 10,000 years ago, the strongest powerhouse among humans. The most shocking thing about Emperor Aoshan's life was that he once fought with an old dragon for 3 days and 3 nights. According to legend, the entire battle affected 1/3 of the extraordinary ocean. The sun and moon lost their light, and the sky and earth changed color. After the final battle, Emperor Aoshan's name resounded throughout the entire extraordinary continent. However, the lifespan of a longevity expert was only 10,000 years. Emperor Aoshan should have died 8 to 9,000 years ago. In fact, 8 to 9,000 years later, there was no more news of Emperor Aoshan. However, the legend of the great Emperor of Aoshan had spread throughout the entire supernatural continent. After all, he was the only human who could fight against the dragon race. Hehe, it's me, an old man who has lived for more than 17,000 years. When the old man heard Emosha's words, he smiled and did not hide it at all. Wang Xian's pupils constricted slightly as he sized up the old man in astonishment. Senior you, have you already become? Emosha gulped and stared at him in shock. Before he could finish his sentence, the great emperor of Aoshan shook his head slowly and said plainly, "There's no hope of becoming a god. Even if you're a half-step god, there's no hope at all." Then how? How did you live for so long? Emosha asked with his eyes still wide open. After all, the person in front of him was a legendary existence. It's just relying on external objects. I can live twice as long. The king of Aoshan looked at the mountain peak in front of him and said slowly. Wang Xian looked at the ordinary-looking mountain peak and was a little shocked. This was a divine weapon with intelligence. May I know why Senior is looking for me? Wang Xian looked at Emperor Aoshan and asked with a twinkle in his eyes. The person in front of him was probably at level 9 of longevity. With the help of the divine weapon in his hand, he was practically invincible in the transcendental continent. The only person who could fight against him might be the strongest person in the dragon race. It's nothing. I'm just here out of curiosity. Let's take a look. A few days ago, I received some news about you from Baiming. I'm curious about how a young man in his 30s managed to reach level 6 of longevity and was able to kill a demonic bird of the 9 heavens. Such talent is not even comparable to the one from the dragon race. Hence, I came to see if you are a human or have other bloodlines. Emperor Aoshan did not hide anything and spoke directly. I am a human, but I have obtained a huge opportunity. Wang Xian's eyes were sparkling as he spoke. Hehe, we are indeed of the same species. Emperor Aoshan smiled. Looking at the history of the Transcendence continent over 1,000,000 years ago, your talent is the best even in the ancient times. As he spoke, he slowly took out a teapot and 3 teacups. When Emosha saw that, he immediately filled the teapots one by one. Then, may I know why Senior is looking for me? Wang Xian asked Emperor Aoshan respectfully. The person in front of him was an old monster who had lived for 17,000 years. He had no choice but to respect him. There's nothing else. I just hope that you won't seek refuge with the dragon clan in the future. Emperor Aoshan said directly. Seek refuge with the dragon clan? Of course, I won't seek refuge with the dragon clan. Wang Xian said directly. You don't have to promise me anything. The reason why I'm here today is to tell you something about humans. Emperor Aoshan picked up his teacup, took a sip, and said slowly. I'm all ears. Wang Xian nodded. I wonder if you know about the powers of the dragon race. As the overlords of the Transcendence continent, their abilities far exceed everyone's imagination. Emperor Aoshan said plainly. Wang Xian nodded at the side and did not speak. He listened quietly. For hundreds of thousands of years, the path to godhood of the Transcendence continent has been severed. It has been a long, long time since a god appeared. Ever since the path to godhood was severed, the dragon race has relied on their bloodline to dominate the Transcendence continent. This rule lasted for hundreds of thousands of years. For hundreds of thousands of years, countless overlords of the dragon clan tried to become a god, but none of them succeeded. However, more than 10,000 years ago, a member of the dragon clan with terrifying talent appeared. He used more than 30 years to reach the longevity realm. In 1,000 years, he reached the half-step god realm. It could be said that he shocked the entire dragon clan. His appearance was known as the god of the dragon race. However, in the next 10,000 years, he didn't become a god. Because of the bloodline, the dragon race had a long lifespan, twice that of humans. After 10,000 years, the god of the dragon race didn't even reach the god realm. Later, he found a possibility to become a god, and believed in becoming a god. In order to become a god, he wanted all the living beings on the continent to worship him. He wanted to enslave all living beings, including humans. It was also that time. I fought with the god of the dragon race for 3 days and 3 nights. If I didn't rely on the towering mountain, I would have been killed by him long ago. Therefore, I stopped the ambition of the god of the dragon race. Later, he took a step back and expanded the Draconid Empire to develop his belief. The facts proved that belief couldn't become a god. At this point, Emperor Aoshan smiled and revealed a proud expression. The god of the dragon race is brutal. Speaking of which, if it weren't for the fact that I, an old man, am still around and the towering mountain is still around, the humans might have already been exterminated by the dragon race. What? Wang Xian was slightly shocked when he heard his words. Chapter 1756 1756 Emperor of Aoshan, the god of the dragon race. Wang Xian did not expect that there would be such a secret in the supernatural continent. The powerful and heaven-defying god of the dragon race, the Emperor of Aoshan who controlled the divine weapon. The path of becoming the god of the dragon race. Believing in god ascension. Each and every incident shocked him. Wang Xian looked at the Emperor of Aoshan who was sitting in front of him. He looked at the arrogant look on his face. Could this fellow be showing off to me? Senior, you're telling me all this, right? Wang Xian pondered for a moment and asked Emperor Aoshan. There's nothing much. I'm just here to tell you that the dragon race is the enemy of us humans. You have the strength to influence the 2 empires and involve almost half of the population of the extraordinary mainland. Don't submit to the dragon race unless you have no other choice. That's because I can't guarantee that the god of the dragon race will not do anything drastic. After all, he has already reached the half-step god realm at the age of 1,000 years. Now, he only has a lifespan of over 2,000 years. If he doesn't make a breakthrough soon, he will die. The dragon race is such a magnificent existence. They won't be so satisfied. Emperor Aoshan reminded Wang Xian. Also, I would like to see the heaven's favorites in our human race who are comparable to the god of the dragon race. Hehe, if you can become a god in your lifetime, our human race can be considered to be prosperous. Emperor Aoshan continued. Don't worry, senior. If I have the power of a god one day, I will rule the entire ocean. I will also support the empress to unify the mainland. Wang Xian smiled and said directly, Haha, you are ambitious. Young friend, if you can reach the godly state, you will be able to unify the entire Transcendence continent. By then it will be a great merit. Emperor Aoshan laughed out loud. All right, I will not disturb you anymore. We will meet again when we have the chance. As he said that, Emperor Aoshan's figure disappeared. Wang Xian looked at a direction in the sky and raised his eyebrows slightly. This Emperor Aoshan is pretty good. He commented faintly. Emperor Aoshan is the most brilliant powerhouse in the past 100,000 years. Mo Sha, who was beside him, said with a sigh. This person was a peerless powerhouse in history. He did not expect to meet him in person. The Aoshan Empire occupies the center of the supernatural continent and has the broadest land. They have existed for the longest time. Their heritage is really strong. They even have a divine weapon. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. That was a divine weapon. It is rumored that the 9-god empire and the Aoshan Empire are empires left behind by gods. Our 9-god empire is obviously much weaker. However, I am puzzled. Is it so difficult to become a god? Even the god of the dragon race failed to become a god after more than 10,000 years. The dragon race controls most of the resources in the extraordinary mainland. Mo Sha said in surprise. Maybe it's because of the dragon race's bloodline. Wang Xian guessed. The dragon race in this world couldn't even be compared to the dragon race in the Dragon Palace. It was similar to the Fire Hammer race in the past. Due to the limitations of their bloodline, it was difficult for them to break through to the godly state. Let's go, Wang Xian said to Mo Sha before returning to the dragon throne and continuing to sail towards the Phoenix dynasty. Although the arrival of the legendary figure of the extraordinary mainland, the great Emperor Aoshan, was beyond his expectations, he did not take it to heart. Regardless of whether it was the great Emperor Aoshan or the god of the dragons, as long as he was given a few more years, they would not be a match for him. After I return this time, my level will be greatly improved. Furthermore, the Dragon Palace has already reached level 5. Even if the god of the Dragon Clan attacks me personally, the Dragon Palace's defense will be able to withstand it. Wang Xian revealed a look of confidence. The team from the Dragon Palace flew, and soon arrived at the Phoenix Dynasty. When the citizens of the Phoenix Dynasty saw the huge team from the Dragon Palace, they weren't too surprised. In the past 10 days, they had clearly learned about the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Dragon Palace. The citizens of the Phoenix Dynasty were filled with gratitude towards a Dragon Palace that had helped their empress to get to where she was today. Little Xian, have you dealt with the 10,000 Demons Empire? Lan Qingyue, Guan Shuqing, and the other girls asked him. Yes, I've dealt with all of them. What about the Phoenix Empire? Wang Xian nodded with a smile and looked at Feng Wuan. I've dealt with them. Feng Wuan nodded as well. Are you planning to place the imperial capital of the Dragon Phoenix Empire in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom, or the Phoenix Empire? Wang Xian's gaze swept across the imperial capital of the Phoenix Empire. In terms of prosperity, it was much better than the current imperial capital. However, in terms of defense, the ruins of the Divine Kingdom was better. I'm also considering it. The vast area is a little far from the Phoenix Dynasty, but I can't give up on any of them. Feng Wuan frowned slightly and hesitated. The vast area had the benefits of the vast area. It was difficult to make a decision here. Why don't we go back first and think about it? Wang Xian said to her. I plan to bring the disciples of the Dragon Palace back. The resources that I bring back this time will allow the Dragon Palace to receive a huge upgrade. Alright, you guys can go back first. I have to settle some matters here in the Phoenix Empire. Feng Wuan said to him. Alright, if you have any problems, you can ask Mo Sha for help directly. Wang Xian didn't stay in the Phoenix Dynasty any longer. He brought the group of girls and the members of the Dragon Palace and flew towards the vast area. With Xiaolan carrying them, Wang Xian and the rest returned to the Dragon Palace 3 days later. Next, we will increase the strength of all the members of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian floated in the sky above the Dragon Palace and said to all the disciples of the Dragon Palace. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui and all the members of the Dragon Palace revealed an excited expression. This time, the resources that the Dragon Palace had obtained were too huge. Prime Minister Gui, lead all the members of the Dragon Palace into the Dragon Pool. Wang Xian said with a smile. Yes. Prime Minister Gui nodded. Wang Xian moved his body and flew directly into the Dragon King's palace. Next, he had to start improving his strength. The interspatial rings of the 600,000 to 700,000 experts from the Empire of 10,000 Demons and the Phoenix Dynasty. The elixirs in them were extremely terrifying. Other than those elixirs, there were also the spiritual herbs and various treasures that he had obtained when he went to the Empire of 10,000 Demons. These treasures were sufficient to give him a huge improvement in his strength. Taking out the elixirs one by one, Wang Xian transformed into the body of a divine dragon and swallowed the elixirs and spiritual herbs in large mouthfuls. It was almost equivalent to the treasures of 2 empires. This was especially so for the Empire of 10,000 Demons. It had a history of more than 300,000 years. The treasures that they stored were so great that even Wang Xian was shocked. One pill after another turned into dense dragon qi. Wang Xian's strength began to increase rapidly. Half an hour later, his level had directly increased by 1 level. However, he did not stop. The pills in his interspatial ring were enough for him to increase another level. Ding! Congratulations to the host for reaching the 3rd level of longevity. When he had consumed 70% of his resources, the system's voice sounded. Only then did he stop. Chapter 1757. 1757 17,570,000 lifespan. Peak of level 8. Name, Wuxia. Race, Yin Yang 5 elements divine dragon, Mandragon unity. Level, longevity level 3, 4th change of the divine dragon transformation. Divine crystal, 111/25000. Supernatural ability, rule the water tribe below their level. Devour living things to extract divine crystals. Control of the 5 elements. Cultivation method, divine dragon transformation. Abhijna, soul-absorbing, spirit-attaching, yin-yang 5 elements dragon eyes. Aspect, 5 elements great mill, dragon kingdom in the palm, dragon head under the heavens, dragon body of 10,000 miles, yin-yang poles, yin-yang 5 elements alms bowl, divine dragon tail. Domain, rainbow dragon domain. Dragon palace, level 5. Members of Dragon Palace, 23,333. In the Dragon King's Hall of the Dragon Palace, a 3,000-meter-long Wuxia was swaying his body. His entire body was flashing with 7-colored radiance. Waves of powerful dragon might were surging towards the surroundings. A majestic dragon head, a huge body, and 2 huge dragon horns. Every part of his body seemed to have been carved by divine work. It was completely flawless. Although I didn't comprehend any skills during this upgrade, the immense power has given me the terrifying strength to kill a level 8 Wansho master. Wuxia felt the strength of his body, and a majestic glow shot out from his eyes. The area of the 7-colored dragon field had reached a radius of 1,600 kilometers. Within this 1,600 kilometers, he could teleport to any place. Now, I should be able to kill 2 level 8 longevity dragon emperors. As for humans, I should be able to kill 4 level 8 longevity experts. Wuxia's eyes sparkled. The improvement this time was too great. The great emperor of Aoshan has the strength of level 9 of longevity. The strongest person in the Aoshan Empire, Ao Baiming, has the strength of level 7 of longevity. The dragon emperor of the Draconid Empire seems to have the strength of level 7 of longevity as well. Speaking of which, he is the second strongest person among the humans. However, there should be more than a dozen people from the dragon clan who are at level 8, level 9, and half-step divine realm. He thought to himself, in the entire supernatural continent, he was already close to the strongest. Roar! Wuxia let out a soft roar. Sensing the powerful force, he transformed into his human form and arrived at the dragon transformation pool. At this moment, all the members of the Dragon Palace were entrenched in the dragon transformation pool. The 9 divine dragons that were entrenched on the dragon pearl spat out resplendent dragon blood. The dragon blood was poured directly on the members of the Dragon Palace. I wonder how strong the members of the Dragon Palace will be in half a month's time. The corners of Wuxia's mouth curled up slightly. The birth of the Dragon Palace had shocked the entire supernatural continent. The return of the Empress had similarly shocked the entire supernatural continent. The destruction of the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix Dynasty shocked everyone on the continent. From then on, the Transcendence continent no longer had the 10,000 Fey Empire and the Phoenix Dynasty, only the Dragon Palace and the Phoenix Dynasty. Time slowly passed, and the Phoenix Dynasty changed its name to the Dragon Phoenix Empire, becoming the territory of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. After the Phoenix wiped out the 17 great families, huge amounts of resources flowed into the Dragon Phoenix Empire, creating numerous experts. The entire extraordinary continent temporarily entered a stable state. Half a month later, all the members of the Dragon Palace used up the resources they obtained this time, causing the strength of the entire Dragon Palace to receive a huge increase. The number of members in the Dragon Palace who had the combat strength of a rank 1 Wansho reached over 100. All the leaders had reached rank 2 Wansho. As for the other members, the weakest had reached level 5 of the Profound Void Realm, and could fight against level 6 of the Profound Void Realm. More than 2,000 Saturn turtles had been subdued, and they had become the Royal Sky Division of the Dragon Palace. After absorbing dragon blood and breaking through the bloodline limit, their defense had reached a terrifying level. None of the members of the Dragon Palace at the same level could break through their defense. Their powerful and invincible defense meant that their attack power was very weak. In the entire Dragon Palace, their attack power was the weakest. Even so, they were still a very powerful race in the entire extraordinary continent. Even Prime Minister Gui was preparing to advance toward the Saturn Turtle clan. Half a month later, Feng Wuan returned to the Dragon Palace. The final decision was to place the imperial capital of the Dragon Phoenix Empire in the former imperial capital of the Phoenix dynasty. The Central Continent region was the center of the entire continent. The quality of the ordinary citizens, there was one level higher than the vast region. The prodigies of the vast region might only be considered ordinary geniuses in the Central Continent region. After Feng Wuan returned, she took out a huge amount of resources and began to raise her strength. The resources of the Phoenix dynasty were not requested by the King Immortal. With the resources accumulated by the 17 families and the Phoenix Emperor, it was enough for Feng Wuan to receive a huge increase in her strength. Little Xian, are we going to move the Dragon Palace to the Sea of Extraordinariness next? In the Dragon Palace, a group of girls and Wang Xian were lying in the Dragon King's bedroom. Lan Qinghua asked directly. Yes, if the Dragon Palace wants to continue developing, it must go to the Sea of Extraordinariness. Wang Xian nodded. At present, the Dragon Palace and the Dragon Phoenix Empire had stabilized. With the resources obtained from forging weapons by the Fire Hammer clan, the maximum number of 5 Dragon Palace disciples, who were at level 5 of the See-Through Realm, could be upgraded to level 6 of the See-Through Realm in a day. At this speed, it would take more than 10 years for all the 23,000 disciples of the Dragon Palace to reach the Longevity Realm. This period of time was too long, so the Dragon Palace had to enter the Extraordinary Sea. The Extraordinary Sea is the territory of the Dragon Clan. All the sea beasts are under the control of the Dragon Clan. If the Dragon Clan finds out that we've entered, we'll be in big trouble. Lan Qinghua frowned at the side. The Dragon Clan is indeed a problem. However, with our current level 5 Dragon Palace's defensive capabilities, the Dragon Clan will not be able to break through our defenses. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. In the Sea of Extraordinariness, he once found a relatively remote place where the Dragon Palace could quietly develop. However, it will be a little difficult to increase my strength in the future. Wang Xian frowned slowly. 2 consecutive huge improvements. One was to obtain the resources in the ruins of the Divine Kingdom, and the other was to destroy the 2 empires. The only way to obtain another huge improvement was to destroy the empires. However, putting aside the fact that he had no enmity with the 2 empires, even if he didn't have the strength to destroy them. Qingyu, Xu Qing, I hope I'm not disturbing you. If you're not disturbing me, I'll go in. At this moment, Feng Wuan's voice came from outside. Her words caused the girls' faces to turn slightly red. Come in, Sister Feng Wuan. What are you, the Empress, thinking about? Guan Shuqing spat and said directly. Didn't I say hello in advance in order to prevent disturbing your elegant mood, and to prevent I harm? Feng Wuan walked in with a smile on her face. In the past, she had entered the bedroom without paying attention once. As a result, she had seen a shameful picture of a living palace. From then on, she would inform them in advance every time she came in. Sometimes, she wouldn't come in suddenly even if she called them in advance. Feng Wuan, your strength has increased to level 6 of longevity? Seeing Feng Wuan come in, Wang Xian said in surprise. Chapter 1758. 1758. I want to become a god. Before the great battle, Feng Wuan's strength was only at the 3rd level of longevity. Now she had directly risen to the 3rd level, and had the strength to fight against the 7th level of longevity. Even at her peak, She didn't have such formidable strength. Well, it's all thanks to the dragon pool. Otherwise, I would need at least 1,000 years to surpass myself at my peak. Feng Yuan said with a smile. When do you plan to transfer the Dragon Palace to the Sea of Extraordinariness? Feng Yuan continued to speak. Soon. I have found a good location for the Sea of Extraordinariness. I will transfer the Dragon Palace there today. Wang Xian said directly. Be careful of the Dragon Clan. The Sea of Extraordinariness is under the control of the Dragon Clan. If the Dragon Palace were to enter suddenly, I'm afraid they would be attacked by the Dragon Palace. Feng Yuan reminded. With the defense and concealment of the Dragon Palace, unless a longevity-level Dragon Clan expert comes to the sky above the Dragon Palace, it would be very difficult to discover it. Wang Xian smiled and didn't pay too much attention to it. The area of the Sea of Extraordinariness was too big. It was slightly bigger than the central continent. The Dragon Sea of the Dragon Clan only occupied 1/4 of the area of the Sea of Extraordinariness. The area he was in was very remote and difficult to discover. That's good. The Dragon Palace's teleportation to the Extraordinary Sea will be much closer to the Dragon Phoenix Empire. Feng Yuan nodded. Since that's the case, let's start the teleportation. Wang Xian did not stop. He stood up immediately and began the teleportation of the Dragon Palace. After the Dragon Palace was upgraded to level 5, the teleportation range reached more than 3,000 kilometers. It could be teleported once every 10 seconds. In a few hours, the vast Dragon Palace directly entered the Sea of Transcendence. In a relatively remote coastal area, the Dragon Palace stood there. It occupied an area of 1,000 kilometers. 1,000 kilometers was not a small area, but the Dragon Palace had a concealment array. As long as the longevity experts were not very close, they would not be discovered. When the Dragon Palace moved, it was located in the center of the Extraordinary Sea. Hundreds of thousands of mountains rose from the bottom of the sea and shot into the clouds. There were tens of thousands of densely packed mountains. Roars came from the entire sea from time to time. Dragons with huge wings swam in the sea and soared in the sky. This was the overlord of the extraordinary continent, the land of the dragon race, the Dragon Sea. The Dragon Sea was the sea of the dragon race, the habitat of hundreds of thousands of dragons. In the middle of the Dragon Sea was a huge flaming mountain. This flaming mountain was extremely huge, hundreds of times the size of the surrounding mountains. However, this mountain was a little strange. It only revealed about 100 meters of water. It occupied a large area, but its height was very low. Moreover, the entire mountain peak was completely sunken in like a valley. The valley within the flaming mountain peak occupied an area of about 50 kilometers. This was the Dragon God Valley. Dragon Deep Valley, the resting place of the god of the dragon race. At this moment, the center of the Dragon God Valley was enveloped by mysterious rays of light. Walala! An old man with dragon horns sat on a high throne. He was holding an ancient book in his hand, and his eyes were shining with divine light. The sound of flowing water came from the front of the throne. However, it was not flowing water, but fresh blood without any impurities. The fresh blood gathered in the huge pond in front of them. The blood did not even occupy 1% of the space. On the left and right sides of the blood pond, there were 2 huge bookshelves. The bookshelves were filled with ancient books. In the center of the blood pond, there were more than a dozen figures kneeling. There were 13 old men with dragon horns, and a middle-aged man with dragon horns, and a dragon tail. If it were not for the existence of the blood pond, the whole picture would have looked like the dean of the academy teaching his students. Haha, the bloodline has become a god. For hundreds of thousands of years, the reason why no god was born in the dragon clan is because of the bloodline. Success depends on the bloodline, and failure depends on the bloodline. On the throne, the gentle and kind-looking old man spoke indifferently. The madness in his eyes had destroyed some of his temperament. The human race is a lowly race. They have a lowly bloodline. But it's also because of this bloodline that their advancement will not be restricted by the bloodline. It's been more than 10,000 years. I finally found a way to become a god. Ha ha ha. The gentle and kind old man continued. At the end of his words, his face revealed a savage and willful expression. The peak of the dragon, the world is proud. Only with me, the dragon god, can there be a heaven. Scarlet claw, undying body, exterminating all the powerful enemies of the 9 heavens. Carrying blood on my back, holding the dragon valley in my hand. I want to become a god. The gentle and kind old man continued. His body began to tremble with excitement. The dragon god will definitely step into the god realm and become the only true god in the transcendental continent. Below, more than 10 figures lowered their heads and shouted respectfully, "Son of the dragon." The gentle and kind old man withdrew the wanton expression on his face and recovered once again. He looked down. "Your subordinate is here." The middle-aged man with dragon horns and a dragon tail hurriedly replied, "I need the blood of a human expert, a large amount of blood." The gentle and kind old man was naturally the strongest expert of the dragon race, the god of the dragon race. "Leave it to your subordinate." The son of the dragon replied respectfully, "I need the blood of the Aoshan Empire. I want to use the blood of the Aoshan Emperor, that undying old man, to sacrifice my divine seat." The god of the dragon race said with a smile. His words made the son of the dragon race slightly moved. "It's the dragon god." The son of the dragon replied again. He hesitated for a moment before continuing. "Lord Dragon God, a powerful force has appeared on the extraordinary continent. It's called the Dragon Palace. According to the information we have, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace has the strength of a level 6 longevity warrior. However, he is only in his 30s. For him to be able to transform into a powerful creature, he must have obtained some kind of opportunity and obtained a powerful bloodline." "Oh!" The god of the dragon clan was slightly stunned, and his eyes were shining. "He has the power of the 6th level of longevity in his 30s? What kind of bloodline is this? If he doesn't become a god, he will become an ant. In the entire Transcendence continent, the dragon clan has the strongest bloodline. But to be able to reach the 6th level of longevity in his 30s is extraordinary. Find out what kind of bloodline he has. Everything is based on fresh blood. Within a year, I need enough fresh blood. Next, I need to complete the transformation of my bloodline and make preparations to ignite the divine fire. You can come back a year later." After the god of dragon race finished speaking, he sat on the chair and flipped open the book in his hand. With a gentle wave of his arm, more than 10 figures directly appeared outside the Dragon Valley. "Take care of Lord Dragon God's matters. If you need anything, come find us." Outside the Dragon Valley, an elder of the Dragon clan said to the son of Dragon, "It's the dragon ancestor. I will fulfill Lord Dragon God's orders." The son of Dragon nodded heavily. "Then go. By the way, let me know when you understand the Dragon King's bloodline of the Dragon Palace." The dragon ancestor continued to instruct. "Yes," the son of Dragon replied. In the entire Transcendence continent, the only one who could be called the son of Dragon was the Dragon Emperor of the Dragon Empire. Chapter 1759. 1759 Dragon Man Empire's Invitation. Lord Dragon God is becoming more and more terrifying. Soon, the entire transcendental continent will be under Lord Dragon God's feet. The Dragon Emperor of the Dragon Man Empire muttered in shock when he saw the group of dragon race higher-ups leave. More than 10,000 years ago, there was still someone who could contend against the Dragon God in the entire transcendental continent. Now that more than 10,000 years had passed, that person was probably no match for the Dragon God. In his opinion, the Dragon God was even more terrifying than a real god. The former god of the dragon race was almost like a crazy demon in order to become a god. He even wanted to make all the living beings in the entire continent worship him. However, because of the appearance of Emperor Aoshan, he held a divine artifact in his hand and stopped this action. Later, the entire Draconid Empire worshipped the Dragon God. In the end, the dragon god realized that it was completely impossible to worship and ascend to godhood, so he stopped. Later on, in order to break through to godhood, the dragon god collected all kinds of ancient books and materials from the entire continent. He spent 6,000 to 7,000 years studying all kinds of books, experiments, and practices. 6,000 to 7,000 years ago, he went into seclusion for 6,000 to 7,000 years. This was an extremely terrifying thing for any human or even living creature. Loneliness and loneliness. The god of the dragon race endured it all until he found the path to godhood again not long ago. Bloodline. With his powerful and terrifying wisdom, he decided to transform his bloodline into a human's bloodline. Then, with his understanding of the mirror of God, after nearly 20,000 years of accumulation, he ignited the divine fire, established the divine kingdom, and became a god. In the Dragon Emperor's view, the god of the dragon race was very likely the only god born in the last few 100,000 years. I need to make some preparations. Although the god of the dragon clan doesn't need much blood, it needs at least the blood of tens of millions of powerhouses. The Dragon Emperor murmured and flew directly toward the Draconid Empire. It had been 3 days since the Dragon Palace had moved to the Extraordinary Sea. During these 3 days, the appearance of the Dragon Palace didn't attract the attention of the creatures of the Extraordinary Sea. During these 3 days, the disciples of the Dragon Palace had a radius of more than 10,000 kilometers and had completely stabilized. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire had also stabilized and everything was flourishing. It was rare for Wuxia to relax again. He brought a group of girls around the Phoenix dynasty and clapped happily for love in the Dragon Palace. In short, they were playing happily for half a month. Dragon King, Dragon Queen. When Wuxia was playing with a group of girls at a famous scenic spot in the Phoenix dynasty, a small team of Firecloud guards suddenly rushed over. "Huh? What's the matter?" When Wuxia saw them, he knew that Feng Yuan was looking for him. "Dragon King, the Empress asked us to look for you. Something has happened between the Draconid Empire and the Aoshan Empire." The Firecloud Guard said directly. "The Aoshan Empire and the Draconid Empire?" Wuxia was slightly taken aback. The image of the great emperor of Aoshan appeared in his mind. "Xiao Yu, my wives, let's go!" Wuxia shouted at Guan Shuqing and the other girls. With a wave of his arm, he teleported directly towards the imperial capital of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. "Feng Yuan, what happened between the Aoshan Empire and the Draconid Empire?" When Wuxia arrived at the Phoenix Palace, he sensed her location and teleported over immediately. The news came this morning. The Draconid Empire sent troops to attack the cities of the Aoshan Empire. There seems to be a fight because of a small matter. It must be premeditated. Feng Yuan saw Wuxia and handed him a document of the Phoenix Empire. "Oh, the Draconid Empire dares to attack the Aoshan Empire? Could it be an order from the dragon race?" Wuxia was slightly taken aback. Looking at the information on it, he was slightly surprised. Even if the Draconid Empire does not rely on the dragon race, it is not weaker than the Aoshan Empire. It should have nothing to do with the dragon race. If the dragon race were to attack, the Aoshan Empire would have been destroyed long ago. Upon hearing Wuxia's words, Feng Yuan said directly, "How is that possible? The great emperor of Aoshan is still alive. The dragon race would not dare to attack the Aoshan Empire so easily." Wuxia shook his head and said, "What? The great emperor of Aoshan? This great emperor should have fallen. How is he still alive?" Feng Yuan asked with a stunned expression. "I have met the great emperor of Aoshan." Wuxia told her about the last time the great emperor of Aoshan came to look for him. "I really didn't expect that such a person is still alive. Furthermore, he has a powerful divine weapon." Feng Yuan muttered in shock. In that case, the dragon race and the Dragonman Empire should know that this person is still alive. Why would they still dare to do so? Feng Yuan frowned slightly. She couldn't understand it. "Empress, there are experts from the Dragonman Empire coming to pay their respects." At this moment, Feng Yin walked in and reported to Feng Wan. The Draconid Empire. Feng Wan was slightly shocked. She took a glance at Wang Xian. Let them in, Feng Wan said directly. Greetings, Empress. Soon, 3 powerhouses with dragon horns on their heads walked in and paid their respects to Feng Wan. May I know why the 3 of you from the Draconid Empire are here in the Draconid Empire? Feng Wan asked directly. This should be the Dragon King. The 3 powerhouses from the Draconid Empire looked at Wang Xian and said, We are here to look for the Dragon King. Since we don't know the location of the Dragon Palace, we came to the Phoenix Empire. It's just that we didn't expect the Dragon King to be here. That's even better. Oh, looking for me? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and looked at the 3 middle-aged men. They were draconids who possessed the bloodline of the dragon race. They had a pair of dragon horns on their heads. The 3 of them were all at the first level of the longevity realm. Their strength was extraordinary. Our Dragon King has heard of the name of the Dragon King and wishes to get to know him. We would like to invite you to the Dragon City of the Draconid Empire. The middle-aged man in the middle said to Wang Xian. Invite me to the Dragon City. Wang Xian was a little puzzled. That's right. Our Dragon Emperor and some dragon experts want to witness the rise of the Dragon King from the extraordinary mainland. Don't worry, Dragon King. Our Dragon Empire and the dragon race have no other intentions. With our strength, there's no need for us to play any tricks. The middle-aged man said with a smile. There was a hint of arrogance on his face. In 5 days, I will pay a visit to Dragon City. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and said directly. All right. When the time comes, our Draconid Empire would like to welcome the Dragon King. The 3 draconids cupped their hands and took out an invitation letter. They cupped their hands at Feng Wan and left immediately. Wang Xian took the invitation letter and watched the 3 draconids leave. His eyes were sparkling. Why did the Draconid Empire and the dragon race invite you, little Xian? Feng Wan frowned slightly. Wang Xian shook his head and guessed. Could it be related to the Aoshan Empire? It shouldn't be. Could it be that I'm just curious? No matter what, it's better to be careful. The Draconid Empire and the dragon race are very overbearing. The group of girls reminded him. Don't worry. My current strength is sufficient to kill a level 8 dragon of longevity. If I want to escape, even a level 9 dragon of longevity wouldn't be able to stop me. Wang Xian said faintly. He was also curious about the invitation from the Draconid Empire. Chapter 1760. 1760 Third Crown Prince of the Dragon Clan. Dragon City, the imperial capital of the Draconid Empire. 3 gigantic dragon arches were located in 4 directions: north, south, east, and west. In the north, there was a gigantic mountain peak. The mountain peak was as high as 5,000 meters, reaching straight into the clouds. Above the mountain peak, there was a dragon that was more than 2,000 meters in size. This was the god of the Dragon Clan. Huge wings and a huge head lay on the top of the mountain peak, overlooking the entire Dragon City. This dragon mountain in the north was transported here, directly from another place over 10,000 years ago, by the powerhouses of the dragon race. This was to announce the god of the dragon race and the belief of the dragon race. Dragon City was the only city in the entire continent where the dragon race could be seen frequently. From time to time, there would be dragons circling in the sky. This is Dragon City. Wang Xian was floating 30 kilometers in front of Dragon City. Looking at the dragon pool in front of him, his eyes were filled with curiosity. The hierarchy of the Draconid Empire was clear. Humans were considered inferior, while the draconids were considered aristocrats. The dragon race was the supreme existence in the Draconid Empire. They would receive the highest treatment wherever they went in the Draconid Empire. Let's go and take a look. Wang Xian didn't go to the Dragon Palace immediately. Instead, he went straight to the city gate and entered the Dragon City. He told the Draconid Empire that he would arrive in 5 days. Today was only the 4th day. After entering the dragon pool, One could see dragon-shaped buildings and statues of the god of the dragon race everywhere. There were also some places for worshipping and offering sacrifices. On the streets of the entire dragon city, the draconids with dragon horns were obviously of a higher status. Ordinary people had to make way for the draconids. Those draconids with dragon horns were generally stronger. Walala. At this moment, voices were suddenly heard. Wang Xian was slightly taken aback, as he realized that the person in front of him was kneeling on the ground. He was slightly taken aback, as he saw more than a dozen humanoid dragons with dragon horns and dragon tails walking over. Those with dragon horns and dragon tails were powerhouses above the level of the Dragon Emperor. The citizens of the Draconid Empire, and even the Draconids, had to kneel and pay their respects when they saw them. Everyone around was kneeling on the ground. Wang Xian, who was standing by the side of the street, appeared very abrupt. "My lords, if you are passing by, you must kneel even if you are an outsider." A strong voice sounded beside him. Wang Xian looked over and realized that it was a draconid with dragon horns staring at him angrily. Around him, some citizens of Dragon City were looking at him. Wang Xian frowned slightly and ignored them. He walked straight ahead. The dozen draconids who were walking in the middle of the road were slightly stunned when they saw Wang Xian, who was still standing. "Third Prince, this human." A middle-aged man on the left at the front was sizing up Wang Xian. He raised his eyebrows and raised his head slightly. He was filled with a noble look. "His strength is extraordinary." The middle-aged draconid who was standing in the middle of the dozen or so people raised his eyebrows and sized up Wang Xian as well. He asked faintly, "Who is he from?" "The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. He has been invited to the Draconid Empire." While the group of dragon experts were sizing him up, Wang Xian was also looking at them as he replied faintly, "Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? Which faction is this? How dare they call him the Dragon King? Haha, interesting. They really know how to suck up to him." The third prince of the dragon clan, who was standing in the middle of the group, was stunned for a moment before he laughed out loud. After he finished speaking, he ignored Wang Xian and walked straight ahead. He didn't put Wang Xian in his eyes at all. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? The draconid who berated Wang Xian earlier was slightly stunned. The people around him were also stunned. A dozen members of the dragon race might not know the name of the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, but the citizens of the Draconid Empire were very clear about it. He was the latest peerless powerhouse to rise up in the extraordinary mainland. He killed the Emperor of the Nine Heavens, demonic bird of the 10,000 Demons Empire, and destroyed 2 empires. His strength was extremely terrifying, and he was one of the top experts in the continent. However, what they did not expect was that the Dragon King of the dragon race had actually come to their dragon city. Dragon King? Flattery? When the citizens of the dragon city heard the words of more than 10 dragon race experts, their faces were filled with astonishment, and their eyes flashed with a strange look. Flattery? When Wang Xian heard these words and saw the group of dragon race figures leaving proudly, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He had already witnessed the arrogance of the dragons. This was the first time Wang Xian had seen their imagination. The reason why this newly risen leader of the Dragon Palace is called the Dragon King is because he can be called the Dragon King when he is half a step away from longevity. Above longevity, he can be called the Dragon Emperor. Logically speaking, this Dragon King has the strength of level 6 longevity. He can definitely be called the Dragon Emperor. In our world, besides the Dragon Clan and our monarch, who else dares to call him the Dragon Emperor? The leader of the Dragon Palace obviously doesn't dare to be the Dragon Emperor, so he is called the Dragon King. That's right, this will at least give our Dragon Empire and the Dragon Clan a good impression. This leader of the Dragon Palace really knows how to do things. The person in the middle was the third prince just now, right? He is one of the most outstanding members of the Dragon Clan. Those who can seize the position of the Crown Prince are almost certain to become the Dragon Emperor in the future. This is a top-notch existence of the Dragon Clan. Voices of conversation rang out around Wang Xian. The words of the citizens of the Draconid Empire made him slightly stunned once again. In the Divine Dragon clan, the ruler of a dragon palace is called the Dragon King. Even if he is at the Divine Realm or higher, he is still called the Dragon King. Only a Dragon King, who has cultivated to the 9 transformations, can be called the Dragon God. As for the Dragon Emperor, Wang Xian shook his head contemptuously. The Divine Dragon clan did not have such a title. After wandering around for half a day, he realized that the citizens of the entire Draconid Empire had a strong respect for the Dragon clan. They called themselves the servants of the dragon. This kind of belief was even filled with blindness. Wang Xian strolled around Dragon City and found a good restaurant to stay in. When Wang Xian's identity was exposed in Dragon City, the Dragon King, who was located in the Dragon Palace in the center of Dragon City, had already received the news. When he learned that the Dragon King from the Dragon Palace had arrived early, a satisfied look appeared on his face. Prime Minister, prepare a banquet for the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace tomorrow. The son of the Dragon Emperor, directly ordered the Prime Minister in the study. Yes, Dragon Emperor. Today, the 3rd prince of the Dragon clan and the others have come to the Dragon Pool. Should we invite them over tomorrow? The white-bearded Prime Minister in the Imperial study hesitated for a moment and said, "Of course, we have to inform the 3rd prince and the others about this. We just need to reserve seats for them. As for whether they will come or not, it doesn't matter." The Dragon Emperor nodded. Also, how are things at the border with the Ao Shan Empire? Reporting to the Dragon Emperor, we have already used the formation to collect blood. However, at this rate, it will take at least half a year. The white-bearded Prime Minister immediately replied. Send out more legions and send out a small team of dragon among men. Speed up. The Dragon King immediately ordered. Yes. The white-bearded Prime Minister bowed and left. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. After a moment of silence in the Imperial study, the Dragon King gently knocked on the table. I wonder what kind of bloodline this Dragon King has to be so extraordinary at such a young age. Try to recruit him. Chapter 1761. 1761 Dragon King vs. Dragon King. Dragon King. Our Dragon King has prepared a feast. Please. The next day, when Wang Xian was about to head to the Dragon Palace, a longevity expert from the Draconid Empire walked up to him and invited him. Oh, I was just about to head there. Lead the way. Wang Xian nodded his head and followed the expert with a smile on his face. They walked into the Dragon Palace. In front of the Dragon Hall, there was a statue of the god of the dragon race that was a few hundred meters in size. In the huge Dragon Hall, there were statues of the dragon race everywhere. Soldiers in red, blue, and green armor were patrolling the dragon shop. They had dragon horns that were a few tens of centimeters long and looked extraordinary. Ha 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 ha, welcome Dragon King. Please take a seat, Dragon King. It was almost noon. Under the leadership of the powerhouses from the Draconid Empire, Wang Xian arrived at a large hall. As soon as he entered the hall, he heard a heroic voice. Wang Xian looked over and saw a middle-aged man sitting on the dragon throne in the center. The middle-aged man was dressed in a fiery red dragon robe with huge dragon horns. He looked majestic and domineering. The middle-aged man was the Dragon King. Beside the Dragon King, there was another seat. An elder of the dragon race was sitting on it and sizing him up. There were more than 100 people sitting on both sides of the hall. On the right side of the seat, there were more than 20 members of the dragon race. In the middle, there were 7 to 8 members of the dragon race who did not look like humans. Instead, they looked like complete dragons. On the other side, there were a group of powerhouses and important ministers of the Draconid Empire. The ones closest to him were the princes and princesses of the Draconid Empire. Since the Dragon King has invited me, I will naturally rush over. Wang Xian saw that everyone was staring at him and walked in calmly. He swept his gaze across the elder beside the Dragon King and walked towards the position that the Dragon King had pointed out. The first position on the left was prepared for him alone. Haha. I heard that the Dragon King is peerless in his generation. I can't help but want to get to know him. Please take a seat, Dragon King. Prepare the best dragon spring wine, and prepare longevity-grade ingredients for the Dragon King. The Dragon King laughed out loud and gave a light shout. Thank you for your hospitality, Dragon King. Wang Xian cupped his hands with a smile and sat on his seat. One by one, the servants carried the exquisite ingredients and placed them in front of him. Come, let's taste the dragon spring wine that is unique to our Draconid Empire. The Dragon King picked up the wine cup and gestured at him. Wang Xian nodded his head and gestured at the Dragon King. Wang Xian was not afraid of the Draconid Empire, but he was still afraid of the dragon race behind them. Although the Dragon Palace could withstand the attacks of the dragon race, if the dragon race really wanted to fight against him, the Dragon Palace was no match at all, especially that god of the dragon race. Therefore, Wang Xian had to come over this time. You are the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? You are only in your 30s, and possess the strength of level 6 of longevity. You are able to slay the demonic birds of the 9 heavens? Just as Wang Xian was drinking the dragon spring wine, a curious voice came from the other side. Wang Xian looked over and swept his gaze across that curious dragon. He nodded his head faintly. Among the group of dragons across him, more than a dozen of them were the third prince, and the rest of the dragons whom he met yesterday. To be able to reach such a level in your 30s, the god of the dragons had only reached the realm of longevity when he was in his 30s. I'm very curious, Dragon King. What kind of bloodline do you have to be able to reach such a level so quickly? The third prince of the dragons asked Wang Xian directly. This is related to my cultivation secret. Naturally, I can't tell others. Wang Xian shook his head slightly when he heard his words. Haha, Dragon King, at our level there's nothing to hide. I'm also very curious. Dragon King, what kind of bloodline do you have to be so powerful? The Dragon King did not stop the third prince from speaking. He continued to ask when he heard Wang Xian's reply. The main purpose of inviting the Dragon King over this time was to find out what kind of bloodline the Dragon King possessed. Do you really think that we would covet your bloodline? Haha, Dragon King, you are really overthinking it. In the entire Transcendence continent, no bloodline is more noble than ours. The third prince of the dragon tribe spoke to Wang Xian proudly. His green dragon tail swayed slightly. It's just an ordinary bloodline. Dragon King, you invited me over. Don't tell me you just want to know what bloodline I have obtained? Wang Xian frowned slightly when he saw them asking again and again. Hehe, this is only one aspect. The smile on the Dragon King's face faded a little when he saw that Wang Xian still did not answer. He asked faintly, It doesn't matter if you don't talk about your bloodline. When I heard that you were fighting just now, I was able to transform into a gigantic demonic beast. Furthermore, after using your avatar, you can increase your body size to a few tens of kilometers. I am very curious about it. Please show us, Dragon King. The voice of the third prince of the dragon tribe continued. He took a sip of the dragon spring wine on the table and continued to stare at Wang Xian indifferently. That's right. We would like to see what kind of bloodline it is that allows the Dragon King to possess a talent that surpasses our dragon god. To be able to transform into a huge demonic beast, it must be extraordinary. The members of the dragon tribe who were beside the third prince of the dragon tribe also spoke with curiosity. In the entire hall, everyone's gaze was focused on Wang Xian. It was obvious that they wanted to find out what was going on. When Wang Xian saw that everyone was staring at him and wanted him to transform into his dragon form, a hint of coldness flashed across his eyes. This might be a little inconvenient. I will only transform during a battle, Wang Xian said calmly. His voice reverberated throughout the entire hall. Wang Xian's words caused the entire hall to turn cold. On the opposite side, more than 20 members of the dragon race had a hint of coldness in their eyes. The coldness in their eyes was not concealed at all. They sat up slightly and looked down at Wang Xian. In the middle of the hall, the Dragon King frowned slightly. A hint of displeasure flashed in his eyes. Since I will only transform during a battle, that's simple. One of the members of the dragon race would like to consult the Dragon King. At this moment, the elder of the dragon clan, who was sitting beside the Dragon King, suddenly spoke. He looked at everything calmly and gave an order. Yes, elder. The members of the dragon clan immediately nodded respectfully. More than 20 members of the dragon palace looked at each other. Among them, the third prince, who was the most powerful, was only at the 3rd level of longevity. He was much weaker than the Dragon King. However, this was just a lesson. Even if the Dragon King was at the 6th level of longevity, they were not afraid at all. Shui Lai, come on. You are the Dragon King, and the other party is also the Dragon King. Let's talk to the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. The third prince of the Dragon Clan suddenly said to a member of the Dragon Clan, who had not transformed. Haha, it's the third prince. It's my honor to be able to fight against the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. I'm also the Dragon King now. Come on, Dragon King, let's spar. Boom. The half-step longevity water dragon flapped his wings and flew directly to the center of the hall. He raised his head slightly and spoke to Wang Xian. When the group of dragons saw this scene, their faces were filled with smiles. Chapter 1762. 1762. The 1762 Dragon Clan was the master of the extraordinary mainland. The Dragon King of the Dragon Clan versus the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. The members of the Dragon Clan didn't feel that there was anything wrong with the appearance of a dragon from the Dragon Clan to fight the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. In their opinion, since they were both Dragon Kings, it was a good opportunity for them to spar with each other. The Dragon Emperor raised his eyebrows when he saw that there was only one Dragon King fighting, but he didn't say anything. Although he was the leader of the Draconid Empire, he did not have the right to order the members of the Dragon Clan. Even when facing the third prince of the Dragon Clan, he had to treat him warmly. As for the elder of the Dragon Clan beside him, he had to treat him even more respectfully. A single sentence from the Dragon Clan could turn him, the Dragon Emperor, into a stray dog. He had a clear understanding of the power of the Dragon Clan. Shui Lai exuded the dragon might belonging to the Dragon Clan as he stared at Wang Xian. Facing an expert who was much stronger than him, he did not have the slightest fear. This Dragon King is not giving face to the lords of the Dragon Clan. He even asked our Lord Dragon King to make a move. Haha, this Dragon King of the Dragon Palace is still sensible. Otherwise, how could he call himself the Dragon King? This means that he is still full of respect for the Dragon Clan. At the back of the ceremony, the experts of the Draconid Empire weren't too surprised to see this scene. They didn't even feel that something was wrong, because their dragon race was supreme. The experts of the Draconid Empire even guessed that the master of the Dragon Palace called himself the Dragon King, because he was afraid of the dragon race. Otherwise, with his strength, he wouldn't have addressed himself as the Dragon King. Instead, he would have addressed himself as the Dragon King. Of course, if the leader of the Dragon Palace addressed himself as the Dragon King, the Dragon Kings of the Dragon Clan would definitely teach him what a real Dragon King was. Wang Xian's eyes flashed coldly when he saw the half-step longevity Dragon King, whom he could kill with one hand, provoking him. He took a sip of the dragon spring wine gently. Half-step longevity Dragon King. I'm afraid it's not worth my time. Wang Xian put down the wine cup and said indifferently. Huh? Why? When Shui Lai heard Wang Xian's words, he was slightly stunned. A hint of anger flashed in his eyes. Why? Dragon King, are you looking down on me? I, Shui Lai, am the dignified Dragon King of the Dragon Clan. As he spoke, streams of water rippled on his body, and a cold aura rushed towards Wang Xian. Pa! Wang Xian stood up gently and looked at the Dragon King. He said indifferently, Dragon King, if there's nothing else, I will take my leave. Voila! After he finished speaking, The Dragon King frowned and stood up. He stared at Wuxia coldly. Damn it, Dragon King, are you looking down on me? However, at this moment, a hint of coldness appeared in the eyes of the aqua dragon standing in the middle. He let out a low growl, and his body gradually enlarged. He turned into a 6-meter-long aqua dragon. He spread his huge wings slightly, and stared at Wuxia coldly. A guy who is half a step away from longevity dares to provoke me again and again. A hint of coldness flashed across Wuxia's eyes. With a flick of his finger, a destructive force was directed at him. Bang! What? Before the aqua dragon could even react, his body was sent flying backward and smashed heavily toward the group of dragons. In the main hall, the faces of the dragons and draconids changed slightly. In an instant, everyone stood up and stared at Wuxia with murderous intent. The aqua dragon landed on the table and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His eyes were filled with fear. You. He widened his eyes and stared at Wuxia in shock and anger. You dare to hurt my dragon disciple. The dragon elder beside the dragon emperor also stood up slowly. He stared at Wuxia and shouted coldly. You still want to spar with me with such strength? Wuxia's expression turned cold as well. He finally knew today that the Draconid Empire did not invite him here to be their guest. Instead, they wanted to understand his bloodline and why he was able to reach level 6 of longevity so quickly. However, the Draconid Empire and the dragon race were all high and mighty. They did not put him in their eyes at all. A dragon king from the dragon race actually wanted to spar with him. So you want to spar with me, the Dragon King? I'm afraid that I might accidentally kill you after I make my move. The old man beside the Dragon King slowly stood up. An incomparably terrifying pressure spread towards Wuxia. The old man from the dragon race stood up. He was more than 2 meters tall and was extremely sturdy. He had huge dragon horns and a 2-meter-long dragon tail. Behind him, streams of water condensed into a 10-meter-long water dragon. The elder of the dragon clan stared at Wuxia from above. He was like a god who was looking down on the ants in the human world. His strength of level 7 of longevity was completely unleashed. Dragon King. The Dragon Clan is the master of the transcendental continent. Anyone who hurts the disciples of the Dragon Clan will have to pay a heavy price, even if you are the master of the Dragon Palace. However, a master of the Dragon Palace is still an ant in the eyes of the dragon race. Now kneel down and apologize to the disciple of the dragon race. Apologize sincerely. Your Dragon Palace can join the Draconid Empire and send your subordinates to kill the powerhouses of the Aoshan Empire to atone for your crimes. The Dragon King saw the Dragon King's fury and spoke to Wuxia calmly. Wuxia smiled when he saw this scene. The dragon race, the master of the supernatural continent. Kneel down and apologize. Atone for his crimes? And he even acted as though it was a matter of course. As expected of the high and mighty dragon race who looked down on everyone. Kneel down and apologize. On the opposite side, the third prince of the dragon race swung his body and swept his dragon tail behind him. His dragon tail, which was more than a meter long, became dozens of meters long and swept towards Wuxia's legs. Pa! Ha! Wuxia extended his hand slowly and grabbed the dragon tail of the third prince of the dragon race. A hint of killing intent could be seen in his eyes. He raised his head and stared at the son of the Dragon King. Dragon King, 5 days ago, you sent someone to deliver the invitation letter. I, the Dragon King, rushed over without hesitation. However, is this how you treat your guests? Do you really think that I, the Dragon King, am easy to bully? Wuxia's eyes flickered as he questioned the Dragon King coldly. He didn't want to be enemies with the Draconid Empire. However, if the other party were to bully him, he, Wuxia, wasn't afraid at all. So what if it was the Draconid Empire? So what if it was the dragon race? So what if it was the god of the dragon race? After a few years of cultivation, he would definitely be able to drag the dragon race down to the netherworld. How dare a half-dragon seed bully a true dragon? Let go of me. Before the son of the Dragon King, could reply, the third prince of the dragon race saw his dragon tail being grabbed and let out an angry roar. His body moved and transformed into a fire dragon that was more than 10 meters in size. The scorching flames poured directly towards Wang Xian. Dragon King, if you dare to make a move again, I won't be able to save you. The Dragon King saw the third prince of the dragon race's attack that was filled with anger. He glanced at him coldly and stared at Wang Xian as he warned him. Hee, die! Arrogance, and superiority. He had to pay the price of death. Chapter 1763. 1763 Dragon Slayer 1763. Hee, die! When the son of the Dragon Emperor, said that he couldn't save him, the killing intent in Wang Xian's heart was completely unleashed. He looked at the dragon flames that were attacking him with a cold gaze. His body trembled slightly. At the same time, he held the tail of the third prince of the dragon race. A wave of destructive power rushed towards the third prince of the dragon race. The destructive force instantly rushed into the body of the third prince of the dragon race. Roar! Roar! No, don't kill me, no. Don't! A terrified voice came from the third prince of the dragon race. As he felt the destructive energy in his body, his face was filled with despair. He stared at Wang Xian, and his body was trembling non-stop. Haha, the Draconid Empire and the dragon race. Do you really think that I, the Dragon King, am easy to bully? Wang Xian revealed a wanton expression. A domineering aura that was above everything was emitted from his body. The powerful dragon aura caused the expressions of the son of the Dragon Emperor, and the other Dragon Emperor to change drastically. What? He actually dared to kill the third prince of the dragon race. Damn it, they actually dared to kill the lord of the dragon race. When Wang Xian made his move, the third prince of the dragon clan screamed in terror and despair. This caused everyone in the main hall to have a drastic change in expression. More than 20 members of the dragon clan were stunned. They never expected that someone would actually dare to kill members of their dragon clan. They were the dragon clan, the master of the extraordinary mainland. They were an invincible existence. What a great dragon king. He dared to kill members of our dragon clan. Die! Our dragon clan will kill every single member of your dragon palace. The dragon king was slightly taken aback by Wang Xian's furious attack. Following that, a violent aura surged out from his body. Dragon King, you are courting death. The son of the Dragon King, let out a furious roar. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace actually dared to kill the Dragon Clan. How dare he do such a thing? This was unforgivable. Unforgivable. Boom. The Dragon King of the Dragon race extended his arms and transformed into a dragon claw. His body transformed into a 30-meter-long flaming dragon. The terrifying flames caused the entire hall to tremble. If it wasn't for the Grand Hall, the Dragon King of the Dragon race might have collapsed the moment he transformed. The brutal flames attacked Wang Xian directly. A puny level 6 longevity expert dares to disobey the orders of the dragon race and kill a disciple of the dragon race. Do you know that no one has dared to kill a disciple of the dragon race for more than 100,000 years? The majestic and domineering voice came from the Dragon King's mouth. The flames swept past and even the air was burning. Then I shall be a dragon slayer today. When Wang Xian saw the terrifying flames attacking him, his face also revealed a terrifying killing intent. At this moment, the powerful aura of level 8 longevity was fully unleashed. His body moved, and one of his arms turned into a dragon claw that was more than 10 meters in size and flew towards the Dragon King. Boom, 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 boom. An extremely loud sound rang out, accompanied by the sound of the palace being shattered. Wang Xian's dragon claws grabbed onto the body of the Dragon King. His sharp claws contained the metal attribute, the fire attribute, the wood attribute, the water attribute, and the earth attribute. With a swipe of his claws, he pierced through the body of the Dragon King. Roar! No! The Dragon King felt the rapid loss of life force in his body, and felt the terrifying strength of Wang Xian. he screamed in horror. Dragon blood continued to drip down. His eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Cough, cough, cough. You are not the longevity 6. He opened his mouth unwillingly and coughed nonstop. Streams of dragon blood flowed out as he shouted. However, before he could finish his sentence, he lost all his life force. No, how is this possible? The Dragon King was killed. The Dragon King was actually killed. You are not at the 6th level of longevity. Below them, everyone from the Draconid Empire, the members of the dragon race, and even the Dragon King, the son of the dragon, looked at this scene in horror as they shouted in shock. Especially the Dragon King, when he saw Wang Xian killing a Dragon King, who was at the 7th level of longevity without any scruples. His eyes were filled with fear. Dragon King, how dare you? He pointed at Wang Xian and shouted with a face full of fear. Dragon King, I came to the Draconid Empire for your sake, yet you guys are trying to bully me. Hee. So what if you are from the dragon race? Today, I want to kill a few more dragons. Wang Xian turned around and looked at the Dragon King. The killing intent in his eyes was not concealed at all. Swoosh. He moved his body and attacked the Dragon King directly. Dragon God's protection. When the Dragon King saw Wang Xian who was attacking him, a look of shock appeared on his face. He let out a loud roar and numerous fiery red dragon scales covered his body. Each of the dragon scales contained a terrifying defense. Bam! Wang Xian's dragon claws landed heavily on the dragon scales, but there were no traces left on them. Ha! Wang Xian was slightly shocked. His yin-yang dragon eyes sized up the fiery red dragon scale armor. This is the dragon scale of the god of the dragon race. No matter how strong you are, don't even think about breaking it. Dragon King, you are courting death. The dragon race will not let you off. Even if you escape to the ends of the earth, the dragon race will not let you off. You and your entire dragon palace will be destroyed by the dragon race. The Dragon King's furious roar echoed throughout Dragon City. From the loud bang to the Dragon King's roar, everyone in Dragon City turned their attention to the Dragon Palace. It's the Dragon King's voice. It's the Dragon King's voice. What happened? What happened in the Dragon Palace? The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? It's related to the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Is the Dragon King courting death? Everyone in the Dragon City was shocked when they heard the voice. The Dragon King was actually making such an angry voice. In the Dragon Hall, the longevity experts and the Dragon City army were flying over. Destroy my Dragon Palace? Then I will start the massacre today. Haha. Wang Xian had a grim look on his face when he heard the Dragon King's words. He stared at the members of the Dragon Clan and the young masters of the Dragon Empire. No, you're a lunatic. How dare you kill our Dragon Clan? When the more than 20 members of the Dragon Clan below felt the terrifying killing intent, all the members of the Dragon Clan revealed terrified expressions. They would never have thought that the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace would dare to kill them. The leader of the Dragon Palace claimed to be the Dragon King. Wasn't he trying to curry favor with the Dragon Clan? Didn't this name mean that he was afraid of the Dragon Clan? Why did he dare to kill a member of the Dragon Clan? Moreover, his strength was enough to kill the Dragon Emperor, who was at level 7 of longevity. More than 20 experts of the Dragon Clan were filled with fear and despair. Chapter 1764. 1764 Below the 1764 Dragon Slayers. The Dragon Race. Do you really think that you bunch of trash from the Dragon Race have the right to bully me? Wang Xian looked at the more than 20 members of the Dragon Race, who were filled with fear. His face was filled with mockery. The Dragon Race was very strong, but this did not mean that some of the stinky fish and rotten prawns from the Dragon Race could flaunt their power in front of him. This was especially so for a Dragon King, who was half a step away from longevity. He actually dared to challenge him. He was really used to being arrogant. Die, you bunch of fools. Wang Xian's gaze swept across the more than 20 members of the Dragon Race. His figure flashed and instantly appeared beside an expert of the dragon race. Roar! Roar! Dragon King, our dragon race will not let you off. Screams of horror rang out one after another. More than 20 members of the dragon race did not have any strength left to resist against Wuxia. Their powerful strength turned them into corpses one after another. In the main hall, the group of powerhouses from the Draconid Empire and the princes and princesses looked at Wuxia, who was showing off his might, with a face full of fear. Their eyes were filled with fear. Killing the powerhouses of the dragon race in the Dragon Hall of the Draconid Empire. It's your turn. Wuxia did not stop at all. He waved his dragon claw, and the dragon claw formed from the 5 elements energy, attacked the powerhouses of the Draconid Empire. Dragon King, save us. No, father, save me. When they saw Wuxia attacking them, the powerhouses of the Draconid Empire revealed a look of despair on their faces. They quickly cried out for help. Dragon King. When the Dragon King saw this scene, his eyes looked as though they were about to burst. Everyone present today were his trusted aides. They were all his most beloved sons and daughters. Come over quickly. Open the Dragon Clan's formation and call for help from the Dragon Clan's powerhouses. The Dragon King, who was enveloped by the protection of the dragon god, trembled. He looked at the powerhouses who were flying over and immediately gave an order. What? All the troops and experts of Dragon City, who were rushing over, were slightly shocked when they heard the Dragon Emperor's order. Opening the Dragon Clan's great formation and asking the dragon experts for help was a last resort only used when the life and death of the Draconid Empire was at stake. After the Dragon Clan's great formation was opened, it could connect to the Dragon Sea, and an endless stream of dragon experts could be teleported over directly. Yes, the pupils of the few longevity experts contracted slightly. They hurriedly flew towards the mountain peak of the statue of the god of the Dragon Clan in the north. Wuxia looked towards the north. He raised his eyebrows and extended his dragon claws that were more than 10 meters in size. The 5 elements millstone slowly appeared on the dragon claws. He waved his arm, and the 5 elements millstone attacked the few longevity experts. Damn, Dragon King, you will soon know the wrath of the dragon race. When the Dragon King saw Wuxia's 5 elements millstone, he gritted his teeth and attacked the 5 elements millstone directly. Attack him! All the soldiers, attack him immediately! The Dragon King gave an order with a dark face. Gulp! Upon hearing the Dragon King's order, all the soldiers who rushed over gulped. They looked at the Dragon King, who was floating in the palace, in fear. Even the Dragon King was no match for them. If they were to attack, wouldn't they be courting death? Go! Kill! However, they didn't dare to disobey the order of the Dragon King. Each and every one of the soldiers attacked Wuxia, as though they were ready to die. Courting death? Wuxia frowned slightly. With a wave of his arm, a grayish river of annihilation shot out and attacked the tens of thousands of soldiers around him. Bang, bang, bang. A wave of attack swept across and many corpses fell to the ground. No one had the strength to resist at all. Roar, roar, roar. Just as Wuxia was about to continue his attack, an earth-shattering dragon roar was heard from the huge mountain peak in the north of Dragon City. Following that, the statue of the god of the dragon race, which was overlooking the entire dragon race, emitted a terrifying majesty. Walala! The sound of the ocean could be heard vaguely from the top of the mountain. Long-distance teleportation, right? Wuxia looked over and frowned slightly. He was not surprised at all that the Draconid Empire and the dragon race had such long-distance teleportation abilities. My dragon palace will not provoke the Draconid Empire and the dragon race, but we are not afraid of you. If you dare to attack us, we don't mind being a dragon slayer. Wuxia said coldly, and his voice reverberated throughout the entire Dragon City. After he finished speaking, he moved and teleported away. Roar! A dragon slayer? No living creature on the entire continent dares to say such words. The dragon race will let you know the consequences of saying such words. Just as Wang Xian left, an incomparably violent voice resounded across the entire sky. One by one, huge figures appeared at the peak of the mountain. Fiery fire dragons, water dragons that were like surging waves, violent wind dragons. Hundreds of figures of the dragon race appeared at the peak of the mountain. Hiss, the lords of the dragon race have descended. That dragon king actually dared to kill the dragon race. His crime is unforgivable. The lords of the dragon clan have arrived. Kill the dragon king and destroy the dragon palace. In the dragon city, when all the people heard Long Zhao's voice and saw the hundreds of huge figures on the mountain peak, they all roared with excitement. The dragon clan was their faith and their god. Anyone who dared to kill the members of the dragon clan would definitely go to the 9 heavens purgatory and suffer a lot of pain. Elder Hua, Elder Shui, Elder Feng. The dragon emperor immediately looked at the ruins on the mountain peak and respectfully looked at the 3 elders of the fire, water, and wind dragon clan in the lead. Who dares to invade the Draconid Empire? Even your son of dragon can't stop them. The fire god dragon in the center stared at the dragon emperor with a pair of majestic eyes and asked in a deep voice, "Elder, it's the dragon king of the dragon palace. He killed Lord Alfire Ming, the 3rd prince, and more than 20 members of the dragon clan. He also killed all the powerhouses of my dragon empire. He has the power of level 8 longevity. I'm no match for him. If I didn't have Lord Dragon God's protection last time, I might have died at his hands." Under the dignified gaze of the dragon elders, the dragon king reported with cold sweat all over his face. "What? The dragon king of the dragon palace killed my members?" The flames on Elder Hua's body instantly started to boil. Flames spurted out of his nostrils, and his eyes were filled with flames of anger. No one has dared to kill a member of the dragon clan in the past 100,000 years. The dragon palace, the dragon king, very good. They are the first person to challenge the dragon clan in the past 100,000 years. Elder Feng, who was green all over, had a terrifying killing intent in his huge eyes. "Son of dragon, find the dragon palace immediately. Anyone who dares to kill a member of the dragon clan will suffer the wrath of the dragon clan. Issue a dragon killing order. Kill the dragon king of the dragon palace and kill all the members of the dragon palace." Elder Fire Dragon roared and gave the order. It had been more than 100,000 years, and no one had dared to challenge the dignity of the dragon clan for more than 100,000 years. They will let all the creatures on the continent know the consequences of challenging their dragon clan. Chapter 1765. 1765 Continent Dragon Kill Order. Yes. When the Dragon Emperor heard Elder Hua's angry words, he immediately replied loudly. During these hundreds of thousands of years on the transcendental continent, the Dragon Clan had always been the undisputed overlord. They were known as the masters of the continent. During these hundreds of thousands of years, there were reckless creatures and humans who provoked the Dragon Clan. At that time, as long as the Dragon Clan responded, all the major forces on the continent would immediately surround and annihilate the creatures and humans who provoked the Dragon Clan. This order was known as the Continent Dragon Kill Order. Once the Dragon Kill Order was issued, no one could escape the attack of the Dragon Clan. The Continent Dragon Kill Order had not been issued for hundreds of thousands of years. Today was the only Continent Dragon Kill Order in hundreds of thousands of years. Issue the order. Today, the Dragon Clan will issue a kill order. Anyone who meets the Dragon King or members of the Dragon Palace will be killed. Standing on the peak of the mountain, the Dragon King looked at the entire Dragon City and ordered loudly. Roar! Roar! Find the territory of the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Clan will lead an army of 1,000,000 transcendents to destroy them. After the Dragon King finished his words, the elder of the Dragon Clan raised his head and roared loudly. Kill the Dragon King and destroy the Dragon Palace. Kill them, kill them. Once the Continent Dragon Kill Order is issued, all enemies will die. Roars came from the Dragon City, And all the people roared angrily. Ever since the god of the dragon race wanted to become a god through faith, the entire Draconid Empire viewed the dragon race as a god. Many people in the Draconid Empire were deeply rooted in their hearts and were extremely pious. If someone killed a powerhouse of the dragon race, they would be their enemy. So what if he was the Dragon King? After the mainland's dragon kill order, regardless of whether it was the Dragon King or the Dragon Palace, they would all be reduced to ashes. Damn it! After I shed all pretense of cordiality with the dragon race this time, I might be in trouble next. Wang Xian, who had left the Draconid Empire, frowned slightly. He had never expected to encounter such a situation when he came to the Draconid Empire. He also did not expect that he was at least the leader of one of the top powers on the continent. A dragon who was half a step away from longevity dared to challenge him. With Wang Xian's style, he would naturally not let them off. So what if he was from the dragon race? However, he was afraid that he would have to face the revenge of the dragon race. It's easier to deal with the dragons. However, if they implicate the 9-god empire of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, we will be in trouble. Wang Xian's expression was a little awkward. He was really afraid that countless powerhouses of the dragon race would come and slaughter the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the 9-god empire. Let's go back first. Wang Xian flew quickly toward the imperial capital of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. However, just as Wang Xian was hurrying toward the Dragon Phoenix Empire, a piece of news that shocked everyone came out from the Dragon Man Empire. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace has killed more than 20 members of the dragon race in Dragon City, along with more than 10,000 soldiers of the Dragon Man Empire. The dragon race has issued a dragon kill order. The dragon race has issued a dragon kill order. They want to kill the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace completely. The news quickly spread to the Aoshan Empire, the 9-god empire, and the Dragon Phoenix Empire. More than 20 experts of the dragon race were killed by the Dragon King. This news shocked everyone. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, a peerless expert who had just risen, was a terrifying existence who had destroyed the 10,000 monster empire and the Phoenix dynasty. Now he had killed more than 20 dragon experts in the Dragon City. This shocked everyone. Especially when everyone heard the dragon killing order, their bodies couldn't help but tremble. Once the dragon killing order was announced, it would represent the Dragon Clan's judgment. The Dragon Clan's judgment was the same as the Death God's judgment. The Dragon King dared to kill members of the Dragon Clan. It's been a long time since anyone dared to provoke the Dragon Clan. This Dragon King is really awesome. He even dared to provoke members of the Dragon Clan. It seems that no one has dared to provoke the Dragon Clan for more than 100,000 years. This Dragon King. After everyone received this news, their eyes widened slightly. Although the Dragon Palace was very powerful against the Dragon Clan, how could the Dragon King fight against the Dragon Clan that had dominated the Transcendence continent for hundreds of thousands of years? The Dragon Palace and the Dragon King are doomed. Some people thought to themselves. Feng Yuan. In the Phoenix Palace of the Dragon Phoenix Empire, Wang Xian teleported directly to the Imperial Study Room after he arrived. Little Xian, why are you back so soon? Feng Yuan was stunned for a moment before she stood up immediately. Something happened. I killed more than 20 powerhouses of the dragon race in Dragon City. Wang Xian sat at the side and said directly. What? Feng Yuan was slightly shocked when she heard Wang Xian's words. She stood up instantly and stared at Wang Xian. Her eyes were filled with shock. The news had yet to reach Feng Yuan. She didn't know about the dragon kill order on the continent. I'm a little worried that the Dragon Clan will implicate you. Wang Xian frowned slightly. You've killed more than 20 members of the Dragon Clan. With the Dragon Clan's character of taking revenge for every flaw, they will definitely mobilize the entire Dragon Clan to take revenge. Feng Yuan frowned slowly. I'm not sure if the Dragon Clan will bring along the Dragon Phoenix Empire, or even the 9-god Empire. However, it's best for you to hide now, little Xian. The location of the Dragon Palace is very secretive. The Dragon Clan wouldn't have thought that the Dragon Palace is in the Sea of Transcendence. However, it's not a good idea to continue hiding. Wang Xian said directly, I'm not worried about the safety of the Dragon Palace. It's just that the Dragon Phoenix Empire and... As he spoke, his eyes sparkled. He was very familiar with the strength of the Dragon Clan. It would be a piece of cake for him to destroy the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Nine Gods Empire. Reporting to the Empress, an urgent message has arrived. At this moment, Feng Yin came in a hurry and spoke anxiously. When she saw Wang Xian inside, she was slightly stunned and continued, Empress, it's about the Dragon King. As Feng Yin spoke, she handed over a communication stone plate. Continent Dragon Kill Order. After Feng Wan read the message, her expression turned ugly. Dragon Kill Order. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he walked over and scanned the contents. Interesting. Looking at the message, Wang Xian's eyes flashed with a cold glint. Sorry for the trouble. Feng Wan frowned as she looked deep in thought. Since the Dragon Clan has issued this Dragon Kill Order, Feng Wan, give the order to cut ties with me first to prevent the Dragon Clan from implicating you guys. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment and said directly, No, Alright, listen to me. You should know that based on the current situation of the Dragon Palace, although they are not a match for the Dragon Clan, they are not too fearful. As long as they don't implicate your Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Nine God Empire, I am not worried about the so-called Dragon Kill Order. Feng Wan heard his words and spoke immediately. However, before she could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by Wang Xian. Feng Wan revealed a hesitant look and nodded her head slowly. Inform Mo Sha to do as he says. Wang Xian continued to speak to Feng Wan. All right. Feng Wan nodded her head and gestured to Feng Yin. Chapter 1766. 1766 joined the battlefield of the Aoshan Empire. Now that the Dragonman Empire and the Aoshan Empire are at war, the Dragon Phoenix Empire and the Nine Gods Empire will only put on a show. On the mainland, there will not be any powerful forces participating in the mainland's Dragon Kill Order. However, the dragon race owns the entire extraordinary sea. The number of demonic beasts and ferocious beasts there are terrifying. Xiao Xian, you have to tell the members of the Dragon Palace to be careful. Feng Wan reminded Wang Xian. I know that. Wang Xian nodded. The power of the dragon race was not on the mainland, but in the extraordinary sea. The number of demonic beasts and ferocious beasts in the entire extraordinary sea was at least a few billion, or even tens of billions. There were hundreds of thousands of demonic beasts and ferocious beasts at the void interpretation level. They were all subordinates of the dragon race and listened to the orders of the dragon race. By the way, how is the war between the Draconid Empire and the Aoshan Empire? Wang Xian suddenly asked Feng Wan. It's very tragic. This morning, I received news that the Draconid Empire had broken into a city of the Aoshan Empire and massacred more than 20 million people in the city. Regardless of men, women, young and old, not a single one of them was spared. According to the news, this matter had infuriated the entire Aoshan Empire. The current overlord of the Aoshan Empire, Ao Baiming, had directly sent the mountain-moving tribe of the Aoshan Empire to join the battle. Feng Wan said to Wang Xian with a solemn expression. Directly slaughtering more than 20 million people in the entire city was a rare occurrence. Unless there was a deep hatred, they would not do such a thing. Is that so? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. Why did the Draconid Empire suddenly attack the Aoshan Empire? They should know that the Aoshan Empire had the great emperor of Aoshan overseeing it. With the strength of the great emperor of Aoshan, it was obvious that even the dragon race was afraid of him. If he really angered the great emperor of Aoshan, what benefits would there be? I'm going to the Aoshan Empire. Wang Xian said to Feng Wan. Oh, little Xian, what are you thinking? Feng Wan was slightly stunned and looked at him in astonishment. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I met Emperor Aoshan once, and he's not a bad person. Let's go and take a look. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. Since the dragon race has issued the dragon kill order, I will naturally not sit still and wait for my death. Be careful. Feng Wuan extended her hand slightly and placed it on Wang Xian's shoulder as she whispered. Haha, don't worry. It's just the dragon clan. In a few years, I will definitely annihilate the entire dragon clan. Wang Xian laughed out loud as a strong sense of confidence appeared on his face. He placed his hand on Feng Wuan's shoulder slowly. As he felt her soft shoulder, he couldn't help but pinch it. Get lost. Feng Wuan felt his unruly hand. Her face turned cold as she shouted coldly. Be careful. Wang Xian chuckled and disappeared. Humph. Seeing that Wang Xian had disappeared, Feng Wuan touched her shoulder. An imperceptible flush flashed across her face. She took a few deep breaths, and a determined look appeared in her eyes. I can't rely on little Xian for everything. I must also raise my strength as soon as possible. Feng Wuan's eyes flashed with contemplation. The Aoshan Empire was located at the center of the continent, the empire with the longest history on the transcendent continent. The entire Aoshan Empire occupied the most vast and prosperous region. The Aoshan Empire's name originated from 11 mountains. Each of the mountains covered an area of 100 kilometers and was about 100,000 meters tall. The mountains were the pride of the sky. In terms of strength, if one didn't count the dragons behind the Draconid Empire, the Aoshan Empire was undoubtedly number one. Wang Xian spent 2 days to arrive above the 11 mountains of the Aoshan Empire. Looking at the terrifying mountains in front of him, he was extremely shocked. These 11 mountains seemed to hold up the sky of the extraordinary continent. Among the mountains, demonic birds flew one after another. The mountains that penetrated deep into the clouds looked like celestial mountains. This was the most majestic and magnificent mountain peak that Wang Xian had ever seen. As he approached the 11 mountains, Wang Xian's dragon eyes of yin-yang and the 5 elements flickered as he searched for traces of the Aoshan Emperor. I found him. Wang Xian looked at the peak of the mountain in the middle. He could vaguely see more than 10 figures shrouded in earthy yellow energy. One of the figures was the great emperor of Aoshan. It seemed that the attack of the Draconid Empire had slaughtered the entire city and had caught the attention of the great emperor of Aoshan. I am Wang Xian, and I am here to pay my respects to Senior Great Emperor of Aoshan. Wang Xian thought to himself, and directly transmitted his voice to the peak of the mountain. At the peak of the main peak of Aoshan, everyone was slightly shocked when Wang Xian's voice was transmitted into the palace. Who is it? An old man stood up immediately with a cold glint in his eyes. Oh! The great emperor of Aoshan, who was sitting in the middle, raised his eyebrows slightly. He looked at the divine weapon of the towering mountain in his hand and waved his hand at the people in front of him, telling them not to act rashly. My young friend Dragon King, please come in. The great emperor of Aoshan called out softly. Sorry to disturb you. When Wang Xian heard the great emperor of Aoshan's words, a smile appeared on his face as he flew over directly. Dragon King. When they heard the name that the great emperor of Aoshan called out, the other people in the palace were slightly shocked. They had heard about this name like thunder recently, especially the news that they had received not long ago. It made them feel extremely shocked. Haha, may I know why my young friend Dragon King is here? I just received the news. My young friend Dragon King is really fierce. Are you looking for an old fellow like me to come and seek protection? When the Emperor of Aoshan saw Wang Xian, he was obviously in a good mood. He smiled as he spoke, and there was a hint of mockery in his tone. There's no need for protection. Let's talk about it when the dragon race can find the residence of my dragon palace. Even if they can find it, I'm not afraid. It's just that it's not my style to hide blindly. If they want to destroy my dragon palace, I naturally have to fight with them. Wang Xian thought to himself and laughed out loud. Haha, good. I like your temper. In the past, I was worried that you would join the dragon clan. Now it seems like Haha. Emperor Ao Shan laughed out loud. His face was filled with relief. The last time he took the initiative to meet Wang Xian, the main reason was to prevent him from joining the dragon tribe. After all, the current Wang Xian could completely represent the three major forces. Even Emperor Ao Shan had to be wary of this force. When he received the Dragon King's order to kill the members of the dragon tribe not long ago, he was actually happy to see it. Senior, I have something to say. It's a little strange for the Draconid Empire to have a war with your Ao Shan Empire. The dragon tribe must be behind it, right? If we really want to fight, do you need help? Wang Xian was straightforward. The main reason why he came to the Ao Shan Empire was because of the alliance. The great emperor of Ao Shan had the power to fight against the god of the dragon race. As long as the great emperor of Ao Shan was able to restrain the strongest power of the dragon race, Wang Xian could use this period of time to increase his strength until he finally had the strength of the great emperor of Ao Shan. When that time came, he could kill the god of the dragon race. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.